Truth and stories gotta collide. Alibis get swept aside. I got proof that can't be denied. The data don't lie, people do. Waves crashing, secrets in the tide. Facts and numbers side by side. Through the chaos I will abide. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. May twist and tongues may tie. Plausible tales shape the sky. In the end you can verify. The data don't lie, people do. It's in the matrix beyond the eye. Hard truth that's flying by. Evidence you can't defy. The data don't lie, people do. Look at the records, feel the vibe. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do. Digits and bytes come alive. I stand tall with nothing to hide. The data don't lie, people do.
Hello, my lovely little lemon drops. How are we all today? Let me get this chat open so I can see y'all. Here we are. All right, looks like we got some of Hayden's crew in here. Let me switch over to this screen. Hayden, how are you?
Good morning. I am doing very well. Yourself?
Good. That's a terrible layout. Let me change our layout. Hang on. Where's the freaking layout? Oh my god! So I paid for I paid for this month's subscription to Restream just so I could have all the tools. And guess what? There's fuck all tools.
Oh no! I'm guessing the tiers are about as well planned out as the StreamYard ones are. You got to pay through the nose if you want to do anything fancy.
Right, I paid $40 and I get some fonts. Really? A little bit of space to upload some shit, but let me just work out what the freaking hell I got going on here. How do I change that layout again? It's not working. Right, let's go this way. Oh my god. I'll get a grip on it. Anyway, Hayden, good to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's been a while.
It's been a while. How's things been at your end?
Well, I mean, basically just still taking everything a day at a time. We're just...
Oh, okay. That's definitely your end doing weird shit, Hayden.
Yeah, okay. Well,
are you there?
On StreamYard, that looks like something's happening with your mic.
My mic? Did you say?
Yeah, because it's showing as audio coming through on your end with the avatar.
All right. How about I just log out and come back and we'll fix everything. Let me just remove some screens. Delete that one. And I'll be back in a second. How about you entertain the crowd for a couple of seconds?
Can do. No worries.
All right. I'll be back.
Well, hello everybody. If you're unaware of who I am, my name's Hayden Glaister and I'm an attorney here in Melbourne. I am licensed, despite what some people may think. I'm licensed to practice here in Victoria. And you know what? Hang on. Give me the camera. I am licensed to practice here in Victoria, New South Wales, the federal courts. There is mutual recognition in Western Australia apparently as well, but haven't actually had to practice there. Today, I'm lending some of my legal expertise, but as always, please make sure you consult with your own lawyer if at any point you are ever charged with attempted murder or child offenses and all that sort of stuff. because nothing that I say should ever be relied upon, let alone if you're a client. Oh no, let's not say that. That could be bad. So hello to everyone that is dropping by. Very good to see you. Hey, Dork. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's a treat to hear from you. Yeah. So hopefully, Aussie Insider will be back in a minute. But basically, she reached out because, well, I mean, I don't want to step on too many toes and go in and explain. It's a video and that sort of thing. But I'm just lending my expertise in relation to this case, and it's an actual attorney in Australia. Yes. Although for some reason some people really have an issue with me using the word attorney, because I get that it's an Americanism, but at the same time it sort of cuts through a lot of the BS. If I put solicitor on there, I guarantee no one outside of Australia or the UK are going to know exactly what the hell that means. So I generally just find the whole attorney thing easier. So you're not really who you say you are? Of course I'm who I say I am. I'm just saying that I don't want anyone trying to say that they relied on anything that I said and get themselves into trouble, because that would be like the worst thing you could do. So Stingy's going to be good. I'd highly doubt that. No, just no. So need an Australian lawyer to critique the Australian lawyer that's defending the two cops in the Uvalde trial. Well, the trouble is I would have had to have actually paid attention to the Uvalde trial. It's interesting that they've got an Aussie lawyer, but it's nice to know that they actually did someone that got the whole mutual recognition thing, because I was thinking about doing that for a while there.
Hello, I'm back.
And we're back. Fantastic.
All right, now, fingers crossed this all behaves itself, right?
Fingers crossed.
All right, so I'm going to switch our layout so that we look a little better on the screen. There we go.
That's a bit better. Yep.
That's what I was trying to do before, but thank you for holding the show up for me. A few crutches there. How am I doing with audio now? So I just rebooted the whole system.
Driver.
I think you might have to try it now, because I'm hearing it coming through your audio and you're hearing it coming through my audio. Hello?
Have you maybe got an external you can plug in? Because that's just coming through as...
So is yours. Let me just get some headphones on here. Holy fuck, they're not charged. Okay, did the audience hear Zappy while I was gone?
Okay, I'm guessing it's a restream issue then. Ooh.
Was there Zappy while I was gone?
I have no idea. No one in chat told me that my audio was bad, but I'd say 90% of what you just said came out as like dial-up modem sounds.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing from you as well. All right, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. I have rebooted. Do you want to try rebooting your end as well?
Yeah, sure.
I'll hold the show up while you do that.
All right.
Let's see what happens. I don't know what else to do other than, we both reboot and reset our software. Either one of you alone sounded fine, but when you're both on the stream, something goes horribly wrong. Thank you. So look, let me just say hello to everyone while Hayden tests his end, sorry. So hello to everyone. Michelle's in the house. Prince is in the house. Hello, Winks. And Melly, how's it going? Sol, John H, how's it hanging, dude? Jason's in the house. Glenny, Kathy, Trout, how are you, my dear? And let me have a look who else. I've probably missed a bunch of you, but I'm doing my best to catch up because I had to do that reboot. Hello, Divin. not sure how to say your name. And D what? How's it going? And Dark and Treasure Ellen. George is in the house. So it's showing me, because I have a paid account now, it's showing me who is from Hayden's stream and who's from our stream. So hello everyone, thanks for joining us. Oh, thank you, Cupcake. I missed you guys too. So anyone who I missed, hello, hello, hello. Sorry about the technical issues today. We tested last night. We didn't actually have any issues last night in our testing stream. We talked for, I don't know, 40 minutes or something without any issues whatsoever. So let's see where we end up. You're back, Hayden. Hello. Are you there? Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3. Oh, thank you, Lola. Missed you too. All right, while Hayden gets his rig together.
Testing?
Yes, we got you now.
Okay. I mean, yeah, there was some of the zappiness when I logged in, but hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean, at least now I know that it wasn't my OBS setup messing up the camera in the background, so.
Right. And I think the buzzy zappy thing's gone. What seems to be, so fingers crossed. All right. So I did have an issue with my laptop overheating and doing weird shit to the mic.
Mm-hmm.
And like completely zapping my mic out into this digital, just weird sound. And I took it in to the Apple people, and it was overheating as well, and I had the fan running all the time. It was like ridiculous what was going on. It turns out I wrote a script to monitor the mic thing, and I had a typo in my script, and that was what was overheating the show. Plus it was polling my mic, like polling the audio constantly because I had a typo in my script. So yeah, that was fun. But that's all fixed now, hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, we are on the go. So today is about a couple of things sort of combined into one. I just thought it was a good time to compare Australia, what's different about Australian law to American law. People are like, how is it that you understand our law so good and you're from Australia and most Americans don't? And I think I've said to you all multiple times, it's because our laws are actually very similar because they came from the same place, essentially. That's right, isn't it, Hayden? Oh, we lost Hayden again. And I can't hear you at all. They can hear me. You can hear me? Or am I zappy? You can hear me now. Can the crowd hear me? Someone said a little zappy. Ooh, damn it. Yes, they can hear us. Fine now. All right, sound's back. Okay. All right, we'll just wait for Hayden to work out why he's not bored. I'm not getting anything from. Yes, we hear you. It's up for a second. All right.
Testing.
Okay, you're back.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes. The audience is hearing some zappy when you come back in. So Overlaw'd is just zapped. It's just you that's zappy. This is why I stopped using fucking OBS. I got sick of trying to sort this shit out. I mean, I introduced a lot of problems too. As I said, I had a bogus script running in the background trying to do stupid shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, our laws are based on pretty much the same things America's law started from, which was they inherited it from the English, right?
Yeah, that's right. So when everything sort of split off between the revolution and then Australia being set up, a lot of the gaps were filled in with basically with UK law because it was the most straightforward way to do it. I mean, there are obvious differences having the US Constitution and the Australian Constitution put in place to establish certain things, but a lot of the every day-to-day stuff that was established by case law, so judge-made law and precedent, it was just sort of adopted because it just made things easier.
Right. So, and then that's doubly so for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts because they're still a Commonwealth, right?
I
There's
actually don't know that there's any link between the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the
the
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth
Yeah,
countries. Yeah.
no, I don't believe that there is actually any link there. I could well be way off. I've never really looked into it, but I think it's just that the state itself was set up as its own Commonwealth before it joined in. Guys in the US, you want to jump in here and correct me?
Yeah. I just assume because it's Commonwealth and that come from the Queen or the King at the time, wasn't it? It was a king at the time, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just assume that because of the word Commonwealth. So, and our court systems are all the Commonwealth versus whatever. It used to be the Queen's. It still are our court. So our I can't remember which courts it is now. Are our criminal court still addressed as the Queen versus defendant? Or the King, I guess it is now, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it's the king. Yeah. So no, so it was because when John Adams was drafting the Constitution for Massachusetts in 1780, he used it. He adopted the word Commonwealth, basically just mean the common good of the people of Massachusetts. So yeah, it's got nothing to do with the royals.
And it's got nothing to do with wealth.
Yep.
It's definitely common folk, but nothing to do with wealth.
Yep.
Right. So, okay. So yeah, that was what I wanted to talk about today. So I had this like little back and forth on X with a ex cop. I just did a whole live stream about reacting to one of his videos. But in that conversation, it came up with well, if you think that the trial wasn't fair, then let's nullify the jury and get Karen a fair trial. And I was like, I don't think that's how nullify works, or double jeopardy. So I thought it was a good time to compare Australia's double jeopardy and also statute of limitations to the way most states in America set up. Because it's not all that dissimilar. Am I correct? I don't know. We've lost Hayden again. No, he's muted himself.
Yeah, I started getting the zappy, so I just wanted to check and make sure it wasn't my roadcaster or something.
Right. So apparently you could be zappy. Let me just get feedback from the audience. Are we zappy or are we good? They can hear us because they're responding. George says Pennsylvania also uses the term Commonwealth too, not just Massachusetts. There you go. I was recently surprised to learn that. There you go. All right. Do that. Hayden's just going to reboot his equipment. OBS could be the interfering link here. So let's just wait for him to reboot that and he'll be back. All right. So he's got some external sound equipment connected to his system that I don't have the issue of having to troubleshoot. So we'll just wait for him to do that. Yeah, so that conversation was like, nullify the jury is not, I don't think, what he thinks it means. I mean, I've heard the antis talking about nullifying the jury, but I don't think it means what they think it means. But when Hayden comes back, he can just iron that out for us because it means the same thing here in Australia. There might be some extra statutes in America. So you know how case law, you've got your original law that was written by the forefathers, and then you've got case law that sort of tacks onto it to help everyone work out what they're not allowed to do and how they're not allowed to interpret it. So there might be extra case law in America that adds to this, but I understand it's pretty much basically the same thing between Australia and America. And I don't know that many people realize this, but we are also okay, buddy. We'll hang around for you. Australia is also federalist, or based on federalist. We're not necessarily a federalist democracy, but you're back. No,
Okay.
yes,
Yep.
we
Okay.
are. We're all
I have
rebooted.
no idea that when I restarted the Roadcaster, it just everything disappeared off my screen.
Crapped out on you. All right. Yeah, I'm sorry that I threw a new thing into the mix too, because you probably haven't used Restream with all of this mix, and you're probably all set up for StreamYard.
Yeah, but I mean, I would have expected the two to be fairly interchangeable. So, but anyway, yeah. So the whole jury nullification thing, see, a lot of people seem to conflate those two things with various other things. I mean, a defendant, once they've received a either an acquittal or a conviction, they can't nullify the jury verdict. You can appeal, but the term jury nullification basically means if the jury, despite all of the evidence to the contrary, decides to give a verdict, that's not it. Say something is so overwhelming that someone committed a crime. Say there's video evidence, there's multiple witnesses, it's very crystal clear, but the jury decided that the crime that they committed was so morally right that they could not convict them. That would be jury nullification, because it's nullification of the evidence.
So
So
they
I
ignored
just
the evidence and went with the gut. Is the So
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
why the other side, or the antis, are harping on about it. They want the jury nullified because they believe the evidence against Karen Read was overwhelming. Would that be the correct way to interpret the argument?
Well, so that just means that, again, they're using the wrong term then, because it's not that they want the jury nullified, because that's something the jury does. What they would be wanting is a verdict notwithstanding the jury.
That's where the judge overrides the jury.
Exactly. And that happens in very rare circumstances, because obviously you don't want to be overriding someone's right to a trial by jury. But I mean, yeah, so it's either verdict, what is it? There's a very specific term for it, but it's either a directed verdict by the judge saying to the jury, you must find in this manner, or they override it and say, no, I'm finding you guilty, notwithstanding the verdict by the jury,
Right.
which is very rare. Exactly. Islands put it very, very succinctly there. The jury doesn't get nullified, they do the nullification.
Right. I was about to put that up on the screen, but yes. All right. So I understand it now. Because there's another thing again, and a completely different thing again, which is where the jury doesn't agree with the law. And so even though they think that the defendant is guilty, they don't agree with the law. So they've decided to come back with not guilty. That's a different thing again, isn't it?
No, so that would still fall under jury nullification, because that's the jury coming to a decision irrespective of everything else that's going on. So whether it's whether they find someone guilty or not guilty doesn't really change that. It's that they're nullifying the case against either the defendant or occasionally the plaintiff or the respondent, depending whether or not it's criminal or civil. It's just as soon as the jury decides to go against what would logically be the response, that's what we would call jury nullification. It's when the jury goes completely against everything that you would expect and disregards the law and says, this is our verdict.
Yeah. All right. So in the Karen Read case, do you see any of those things being applicable?
No, mainly because the verdict and the sentence have already been dropped. There's nothing to nullify, if that makes sense. I mean, it's something that has to happen at the point in time of the verdict.
So the jury made a verdict that wasn't, they nulled themselves. The jury made a verdict that was in line with the evidence. They don't have to agree with their verdict, but what was suitable for the evidence, and the jury and the judge agreed with the jury. She didn't try to override the jury, which is what I was expecting.
No,
I was
exactly.
half expecting that towards the end. I was like, whoa.
Oh, I tell you what, I only found out a couple of days ago that the transcripts of the sidebars have been released from the first trial or the first batch of them, and I'm already like, I hated Bev through both of those trials because the bias and the even just the lack of professional courtesy was honestly disgusting to me.
Right. She was
But
horrible in the sidebars. Like, what we thought through trial was one thing, but through the sidebars, holy Jesus.
I mean, even just the whole like the forced perspective on disrespect and things like that. Like I've only made it through the first like volume of it, and the fact that she's sitting there and Jackson has a legitimate objection to foundation on a witness, and he's I assume he must have pointed towards the jury or something like that at one point, and she goes, "Are you pointing your finger at me?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me, woman? This is just this is beyond the pale as to what's appropriate for comments by a judge." So
Right. Yeah. Sorry, you can hear my kettle in the background. I'm just making a fresh coffee while we're talking. But what was I going to say? Yeah, like even when that professional courtesy that you talk about, we're going to get onto that topic, because in America it's not law; it's just a rule, the rules of ethics. But whereas in Australia it's actually law. But one of the things I was going to point out was that she was actually raising objections where the Commonwealth had not raised an objection, and obviously the defence wasn't going to, because it was there. They were up. I think it was a cross-examination. But she was doing the objection raising. And one of the objections she made was on compound questions. That's not her role to do that, is it?
No, absolutely not. And that was one of the things that I was going to look at because, I mean, there's hundreds of pages to go through. But it's the difference between, because both America and Australia and a lot of other countries have the adversarial system, which is basically you've got the lawyers there to make the arguments. I mean, in other countries, there's what's called the inquisitorial system, where the judge is able to go out of their way and directly ask questions of the witnesses. They're able to request that specific evidence be adduced. They are able to ask that things be investigated mid-trial. That's not how it's supposed to work for us.
Right. So, the fact that she was tack onto that, in France, they have a truth finding. They're not adversarial, they're truth finders. So they just want to get to the bottom of the truth. So that's the difference. Go on.
Exactly. So the judge is supposed to be the finder of law, whereas the jury is supposed to be the finder of fact, which is why the prosecution and the defense are the ones that present their case, and they're the ones that are supposed to make the arguments, basically. The way that she's inserting herself into the process, I mean, I don't know specifically what the rules are. If they have the equivalent of the solicitor's conduct rules in Massachusetts, I'd be very interested to read through it, because I would be very heavily making an application, honestly. I mean, it came across as, I mean, judges have a fair discretion in terms of their little fiefdoms, however you want to put it, but at a certain point, there still has to be accountability and proper management of the court. So,
and I don't feel that was proper management. I felt that she was behaving as a prosecutor, like she was prosecuting the case. Do you get that vibe, like how far you are already for it?
Yeah, she was going out of her way to assist the prosecution, which, I mean, judges are supposed to be impartial, and that is one of the things that does annoy me. Is, now, I'm not one for quotas on the bench or anything like that. Historically, judges have generally been picked from prosecutions. It's reasonably rare, to my understanding. I mean, I haven't looked in the last 10 years, but it was reasonably rare that you'd have a defense attorney that winds up on the bench. And more so than usual, this felt like she had a personal interest in making sure that this prosecution was properly conducted. So I don't know if she genuinely thought that Lally was doing a crap job, but I mean, even if she did, she shouldn't have been inserting herself into the prosecution the way she did.
Right. So one of the things I picked up with Lally is I think that he's more used to doing what's the word for it? He's not used to doing criminal cases, because he kept saying the what if anything. What if anything, who if anyone. And I remember picking up from the lawyers' feedback in the Johnny Depp trial that Elaine kept doing that as well, the what if anything. So she kept reading the witness with the what if anything.
Now, so that's not so much a civil versus criminal thing. That's in order to avoid asking direct questions from a witness when you are not on cross-examination, because if you are the one leading the witness, you can only do that on cross. You can only ask open-ended questions on direct or redirect. So rather than asking pretty much any yes or no questions, you have to ask, okay, so what were you doing on a particular day, rather than saying, were you at this place at this time on this day? It's just one of the rules that's it's set up to make sure that people get fair trials, basically. And the whole what if anything gets a lot of criticism, because although it is technically the vernacular that would allow you to be opening an open-ended question, it's about as towing the line as you can get. And I think that's why Ascarati at the time actually even questioned that with Elaine, saying you're going way too close to asking a leading question, which you were just absolutely not supposed to do.
Right.
I'll stop short of saying it was a dirty tactic, because a lot of lawyers will toe that line. But the way that Elaine sort of played jump rope with that line at times, it was both disturbing and impressive.
Right. So that brings us to the rules of evidence, because I did a little bit of research on the Massachusetts rules of evidence. And apparently when they went to codify it into law, the entire panel of judges said, no, we don't want it. We don't want to codify it. So, there were so many, like someone asked me, can you do a show on all of the evidence and the chain of custody? And I'm thinking, you know what, that's a pretty short show, because I don't think anything had a chain of custody. I don't think there was a single thing other than the crime lab. I think they did all right once it came into their custody. They did a pretty good job of tracking, who handled it, when it was handled by whom. But that point from the investigation through to when the crime lab got stuff, there was months and months, sometimes 18 months to 2 years had passed, and nobody knew where that there was no chain of custody, basically. So the difference between most American states and Australia is that the rules of evidence in Australia, every state's got pretty much the same sort of standard with digital evidence specifically. Is that correct?
Yeah, so pretty much every state here in Australia has a version of the Evidence Act. And there's obviously intersecting acts as well, but yeah, there's pretty stringent rules, in particular, collection of evidence and how it is presented in trial. You're going to be looking at the civil procedure rules and the criminal procedure rules for all the states. But almost every state specifically has a evidence act that says this is how evidence that's collected in a specific way has to be treated. This is how what must be presented at trial in relation to that evidence, and those sorts of things. Looking back on the trial, the biggest thing that I had issue with, and I think many people did, was the solo cups. Because not only were they not proper collection, but ironically, the solo cups and the paper bag themselves became, rather than just being containers, they became evidence themselves, because you'd need to know where they came from. If you were going to have chain of custody, not only do you have to have chain of custody of when the ice and blood was collected, you'd have to know where that bag came from, what was in the bag, where was it transported from, who handled it, and you didn't have any of that either. So they have been incredibly, in my opinion, incredibly lax with that.
Right. Did it contain meatballs?
Who knows? Maybe it had a bacon sandwich in there. Maybe it had any number of things that could have cross-contaminated. We really don't know, and that's a major problem of it.
Right.
So
and this is why I think that trying to get a judge to overturn the verdict was going to be a line that Bev couldn't draw. Like, she was very careful to draw lines that she could get away with. Like, that was pretty evident.
Yes. And I think that because a while ago I did a video looking back on the reviews that lawyers had specifically given to us. So if you're not aware, there is a website where lawyers are actually able to leave reviews anonymously on judges. Some people during the trial found it, and obviously, for lack of a better term, civilians left a number of reviews. But the ones that were able to be verified by actual attorneys, they were scathing. And then when I looked back at what her appeal rate was, I think even Andrew Burkhart said like Bev's overturn rate was like 50%.
Yeah.
So how you get to that point and aren't removed, I don't know. I don't know what the processes would be there. But it's that's incredible to me. This judge makes rulings wrong 50% of the time. Like,
I think the issue I had, like, just as a layman looking on with the solo cups in the bag, is that the first time we saw those, they were positioned right at the back of the vehicle. Why are they even in the sally port to begin with? If not to put DNA evidence and hairs on the car. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, there's a reason it's sitting at the back of the freaking tail light. The first time we see them is the bag's open. There's a gloved there's a gloved hand, which I thought was hilarious. So did Runkle. There's a gloved hand holding the bag open, and there's a photo of it. And wait, where did you go?
Sorry, for some reason it said lost connection and just kicked me.
You're back.
Yep.
And then it's sitting like right at the back of the vehicle. And there's no reason for that blood evidence to even be in the sally port. The sally port is not where they process blood evidence. The crime lab is where they process blood evidence.
Yeah, even if they were and I can't understand why they would. If they were transporting it in the vehicle to put it in the sally port and then take the blood evidence into the station, whatever, I would have fully expected that blood evidence would be transported, I don't know, in a police vehicle, and that it should never have actually entered the sally port. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And then from there, it should have been properly documented. It should have been entered into evidence. There should have been all number of things done there. At no point should have just been left sitting in the sally port. Do
you suppose that's why the blood evidence didn't get used at trial for anything other than the defense saying, is this how you handle evidence? They decided not to use it at trial. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if that blood evidence contained anybody else's blood, then they would want to keep it out of trial. So that would be another reason too.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that they didn't have the chain of custody on it as well is very disturbing to me, in that they even reported it as evidence that was supposed to be admitted. And I mean, frankly, without reading through Massachusetts rules from cover to cover, I would have torn it to shreds. So
they don't have a rules of evidence. They decided not to codify it, so there's nothing to read.
Well, not even specifically the rules of evidence. If there's rules conducting about how attorneys are to conduct themselves and how information is supposed to be proffered to the court and that sort of thing, it blows my mind that there is nothing codified. The fact that they are relying on precedent and procedures that are established by the courts at any given time is just, it's astounding to me, honestly.
So that brings us to rules of ethics. Now, our rules of ethics are federal. So the federal government says everyone has to behave this way or else you're out.
Okay? Well, no. So the rules of ethics are set state to state, but there is the Uniform Profession Law scheme that's been set up, which includes, so it basically incorporates Victoria, New South Wales, Western Australia, and I think Queensland are on the books to either have or are going to. But basically, every state has what's called a set of solicitors' conduct rules. And while it says rules, it's really laws for how lawyers have to act and conduct themselves in engaging with the public, engaging with the court, what duties you owe and when, the rules around how you operate a trust account, all that sort of stuff. and pretty much you break any of those, you lose your bar certificate, you lose your practicing certificate. So they are fairly universal, but they do still kind of vary state to state where they don't have that uniform profession law scheme set up, because it's
just the basics. Like,
yeah,
this is
I
the
mean,
basic code we expect of all judges, and
mhm.
this is the basic code we expect of all lawyers.
Yeah. So how do I put this? There's separate ones specifically for lawyers, there's separate ones specifically for barristers, which are the lawyers that go and argue in court. And then you've got the judicial conduct rules that are completely separate to that as well. So rather than just having blanket saying don't do wrong, you've got very specific situations where you have to refer to a lot of different documents. I very much do not envy the lawyers that have to be the ones investigating other lawyers. Let's put it that way.
For the Americans in the house, whenever you hear us say solicitors, that's who we're talking about, lawyers. Just, it's another word that Australia uses for lawyers. So
yeah, hence why I use the attorney down here, because it makes it easier, because at least, I mean, like I said before, I know that some people don't like the fact that I use an Americanism, but it just makes it obvious to anyone that's watched TV over the last 30 years. So
right, I actually think solicitor is a derogatory term when you think like an unsolicited or a solicited contact is usually advertisers or people who sell shit. You know what I mean?
exactly, I mean, back in the day, we all had the signs on the doors, no solicitors. So
Exactly.
yeah, no, I can understand how that would be. It's and I think that's why so many of us just use lawyers now, honestly, across the board. The differentiation between a solicitor and a barrister, if you ever need to know that, you're going to learn it yourself. You don't need to really worry about it. So
No, do it. Tell us anyway. I know which I want on my side. If I have to go to court, you aim for the barrister.
well, so barristers are the ones that very much charge through the nose because they're entitled to. It's an additional course that a lawyer has to take. They're not allowed to practice as a regular lawyer. They have to either join or set up their own chambers, which is basically, so a barrister themselves can't take work directly from the public. They have to have an instructing lawyer. Think of it as the equivalent between your lawyer is your GP, your general practitioner, your family doctor. Your barrister is your neurosurgeon, the one that goes in and surgically cuts everything apart so that you can survive. Basically, is the
Right.
most
So
is the most straightforward way.
they're generally, rather than knowing all of the case law, they're more one step above it. They understand where the case law came from, the origin of the law itself, the original writing of the law, and the Constitution.
Well, you've got to be careful there, because you don't want to give barristers too much credit. What it is that they have spent a longer time analyzing the rules of the court, the procedures, the how to get things done in court, basically. So it's not necessarily that I mean, if I wanted to, I'd go to a specialist barrister to get an opinion on something. And yes, they more than likely than not, over the decades of practice that they've done, they are going to have significantly more knowledge in a particular area. But at the same time, everyone gets things wrong. So
do we assign a person to be with the defendant? You mean a lawyer? That's whoever the defendant hires. But then that lawyer can then say, we need a barrister. And then you'll see a group of them walk into court. That will be their own solicitor or their own lawyer, plus the barrister, and then his group of, office, whatever, and backup. It's usually like 4 or 5. When you hire a barrister, you get like 4 or 5 of them. That's why they're so expensive.
Yeah. Well, generally, you'll have a senior barrister and a junior barrister. They won't necessarily have worked together before. It'll be who you decide to instruct or who your lawyer decides to instruct. Depends on what your finances are. Depends on what the experience areas are. Someone asked whether or not we appoint someone. Generally, we don't have the whole a court appointed attorney for you if you can't afford one. Well, actually, no, that's not true, because legal aid basically appoints one if you are unable to. But legal aid, the requirements are more stringent than they used to be.
Legal aid's useless. So for the Americans in the house, you guys don't give your citizens free Medicare or free anything really, except maybe a handout if they're unemployed. But we do all of that plus free lawyers, and you go through the legal aid department if you can't afford a lawyer.
Mhm.
So in America, that's you have to be deemed indigent, and then you get a court-appointed lawyer. That's what they're talking about, basically, with legal aid. You get a court-appointed lawyer, essentially. But I've been in that situation where I had to go through legal aid, and it was so funny because we went in and got the court-appointed lawyer because we couldn't find a lawyer. It was just a dirty case. They didn't want to touch it, essentially. Cops had fucked everything. It was just dirty. No one wanted to go near it. So we ended up going with the court-appointed lawyer. Spoke with him just before the hearing that day. And he said, you know what? You're screwed. The cops are going to win. No one's going to believe you. So we were like, we got it stayed so that we could get a lawyer. Can you stay for it so we can actually get a lawyer? They were like, why don't you try legal aid? You get a little bit of choice rather than the court-appointed lawyer. So I go across the road to legal aid, and guess who it is?
Same guy?
Same fucking guy.
Classy. Yeah, because generally legal aid is legal aid's set up so that it's a panel of law firms that, I mean, technically they'll still get paid a certain amount, is my understanding. Our firm used to be on the panel, but we haven't done it in a good decade just because it's not. Well, I mean, we try not to practice too much in criminal law anyway. I mean, there's people that are far more knowledgeable on that than I am, so I'm not going to try and,
right.
You know,
I don't even think they're that knowledgeable, to be honest. The ones that I've dealt with, they're just like, the cops are right, you're wrong, just plead guilty. That's all I ever got out of legal aid.
Yeah.
I had a family legal aid lawyer. Holy freaking hell. That was my lesson. That was like the final lesson where I just went, no, you just got to scratch your money out and freaking hire someone. Because he rocked up at the courthouse in this clapped out old freaking Suzuki, soft top Suzuki with the doors flapping in the wind. And he got out and his shirt was untucked and his tie was all crooked. And he's like, hair everywhere. And I was like, I'm not sure about this lawyer. Like, usually you want to see clean cut shirt tucked in, like at least had a shave that morning and brush your hair.
Bad as it sounds, Suits is the furthest thing from a documentary about how lawyers are supposed to act, but I will say that they did get the whole people care about how you look thing.
Your appearance to the client is like, this is going to be messy. Like, that was my idea. He was a mess. He got out, his paperwork's all flying fucking everywhere. His car's flying everywhere. I'm like, this is going to be a mess. This is just, you need to see that they're organized. They at least tuck their shirt in for the judge. You know what I mean? Like, this judge ain't going to like this guy.
Yeah, and if it gets to the point, because there's a special phrase that judges will do if they decide that a lawyer is not properly attired, which will be, if you walk up to the podium and they don't like how you're dressed, they will literally say, I cannot see you, I cannot hear you, which is basically, get the hell out of my courtroom, go and put a tie on and pull your pants up before I will even remotely hear this case. And 8 times out of 10, it means as the client, you're going to have a bad day.
Right. So that was my concern. Not necessarily judgment that he wasn't dressed in silks, but more that this is going to be messy. First of all, he doesn't look like he's organized. Second of all, how's a judge going to see all of this? So I have a very high amount of respect for judges. And I'll call them Your Honor and stand when I'm speaking with them. I don't need instruction to do that because I already have that respect. I was raised with that respect. Even if I'm just I was just in a small claims court, I had that respect for the judge. So, not a lot of people do, though. Not a lot of people are raised that way. In Australia, more often than not, they're raised the opposite way.
Unfortunately, yeah. I mean, I was watching a video last night about judges basically losing their shit when various people were standing up to the podium, and I think one of them walked in activewear, and the guy's like, "This is not a gym. Go and make yourself presentable," and all this sort of stuff. And she lost it.
For sure. For sure. You don't want to get judged on the wrong foot before your case is even started because you're being disrespectful. So
No, and it's worse because I mean, like, it was a good decade ago, probably longer, but there was a study that was actually done by it was on the Law Report, which was put out by ABC at the time. I can't remember if they still do it or not. This is how up to date I am with various things. But they sat down and they studied a variety of cases, and what they showed over the course of a year was that judges are human beings, and the outcome of your case can be determined by something as fickle as what the judge had for breakfast that morning. And what they determined was that if you're a criminal defendant, you absolutely want to have your case heard first thing in the morning or directly after lunch. If you are the poor bastard that is the last case up before lunch, you're like 20% more likely to receive a longer sentence.
yeah, crap. That's
So,
awful. The time of day makes a difference.
yeah.
I mean, we saw that with Bev, like we're knocking off early today. I don't know if you noted, but the audience was always making jokes about she needs a White Claw. She's got to have a little, she's like hanging for a cocktail for the afternoon or whatever.
Yep, drink time, all that sort of stuff. Oh no, honestly, and the way she went about it. Oh, you have to be here on my time, my schedule, my court, all that sort of stuff. Which, to a certain extent, that's fair. But when she turns around and hypocritically ends days in the half and just, and you could tell at different times. You cannot tell me there was at least one specific day during that retrial that I genuinely think that she rearranged dates and times on various things just to piss off Jackson because he had to fly in.
Well, two reasons. Like you see this throughout the entire trial 1 and 2, cutting the flow of the defense. They're in a flow. They're about to get to this major point. Okay, recess. It's like, you fucking cow. Like he's about to hit the nail on the head and wrap up what he's just been doing for the last 40 minutes, and you want to recess. So I think there's a lot of times there where she was doing it specifically just to disturb their flow.
Yes.
So
disgusting.
moving on to the statute of limitations. Now, this moves into the civil case sort of area. Not that we're going to talk about the civil case specifically, because I believe you haven't been following it. Probably.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to look at the wrongful death, and I know she's brought in a counterclaim now as well against the McAlberts. So it's stuff that I just, unfortunately, for those that know the history, I haven't had the time basically to go
Got a
through
family,
it.
so we understand. But there was actually a case that came up in Australia, which I'm just going to enrage the audience and give them a quick recap.
Yep.
But I'll chuck a link in the chat for people to go and check it out. But there's a murderer in Australia. She murdered 3 babies, and then she admitted to murdering 3 babies and attempting to murder 3 others. The fact that they lived is beside the point. She did try to kill them. So 6 babies all up. She confessed. 3 survived. So she ended up getting charged for 3 life sentences here in Australia for the 3 that she actually did kill. And I think some term for the attempted murder for the 3 that survived. So she was convicted, sentenced to 3 life sentences, served, 13 years, and let out again on parole. Now she's completed her parole. She's living back in the community, and guess what she's doing? She's babysitting all her friends' kids. So, and they don't know anything about her. So we actually have a registry, not a sex offender registry, but what's the other one called?
Child Protection Registry.
Child Protection Registry.
Yeah.
She should be on that registry. What's the reason she's not on that registry, for starters? Let's start there.
Well, my understanding is that by the efforts of her brother, she is actually now on that registry. But the registry itself is sort of, at least in terms of the public, it's a paper tiger anyway, in my opinion, because the public can't access it. There's no requirement.
Right. So if you're a daycare provider and you want to hire someone, you can't access the registry and go, yeah, no, this person's on the registry, we can't hire them.
No, because I think in that instance, when you're applying for a working with children's check, the authority that is providing the check is supposed to check that registry anyway.
Right.
So no, it wasn't Lucy Letby. Although at some point I got to go back and look at that case again.
She's UK, but this is actually just a girl in the neighborhood who looked like the girl next door, and all the friends of the family would go, yeah, come and babysit our kids because she looked like that. But the first three that she murdered were her own family members.
Mm-hmm.
So she murdered her baby brother, I think 18 months old or something, still in his cot. And then she killed the other two brothers. One she pushed down the stairs, I think. And I can't remember the exact story with the other one, but I will put the link in the chat. I didn't want to waste Hayden's time watching the thing, and we'll probably get struck for it anyway because it's the Daily Mail one. But the brother was saying sort of, the things that he used to do to her specifically. But back onto the statute of limitations, and together with Double Jeopardy, they can't put her back in jail now, can they? Like, they've already let her out on parole. They've already done all this stuff like this, and there's no way to put her back in jail to serve her full term, is there?
No. So, I mean, because Double Jeopardy wouldn't really apply in this instance. So across the period, she murdered 3 individuals, received 3 life sentences, which under the New South Wales legislation, which hasn't changed since 1980, had mandatory life sentences, which is in the judge's discretion is either to be for the natural life of the individual or 25 years, but they do allow parole periods. Now, the more I thought about this case last night, the more conflicted I got, because on the one hand, it's horrific. On the other hand, even if she had served the 25 years, she'd still be out by now.
That's not 3 life sentences.
No, and that's sort of why I was irritated, because I don't believe that she should have received parole at all. But for some reason, around that time, 13 years was the generally accepted non-parole period for a life sentence. I mean, the judge
life sentence. What about 3 of them?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is given that there were 3 life sentences there, 4 children, most of whom were under the age of 7. As far as I'm concerned, they shouldn't have been served culminatively. They should have been served consecutively. She should have received, at bare minimum, 36 years, in my opinion.
Oh, I get it. They did it instead of consecutively.
She's serving each one of them at the same time, which, as far as I'm concerned, is not appropriate in that instance. I mean, I'm more of a hard ass when it comes to sentencing. I'll be perfectly honest. But that's just because that's how I've developed over the years. So when it comes to sentencing for a criminal case, there's 4 principles. There's general deterrence, there's specific deterrence, there's rehabilitation, and the 4th one, which I can never remember, mainly because the other 3 are the most important ones to me. How can someone get parole for 3 life sentences? That doesn't make sense. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. As far as I'm concerned, for murdering a child, it should be a standard flat life sentence. There shouldn't be a non-parole period, in my personal opinion.
Right. Well, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like they had a hard time balancing between no body, no parole. This is a new thing Australia decided they wanted. It was not really new, but it's new as far as, like, in the last 20 years it came up.
Yeah, because you got to remember, this case is, what, 45 years old?
Yeah.
So, yep.
No body, no parole. And then juggling that with when do we give parole? Like, they know the body, she confessed. So there's got to be a balance between the no body, no parole sort of standard and the when do we give a parole, because now we've got bodies. Does that make sense? It seems to me like they had a little bit of a time juggling between the two there, and she was one of those cases. From the lawmaker's perspective, obviously, I'm speaking with the hard time juggling it. So how do you bring in this new no body, no parole if you don't have this other thing that you're contrasting it against? Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, for me, it's less about the no body, no parole, and just juggling it with community expectations. I mean, they changed it in the last 20 or so years that the standard non-parole period for murdering a child or a police officer or something along those lines, because they brought in amendments, they made it so that the standard non-parole period is at least 20 years. So it's sort of they've updated things as, for lack of a better term, societal expectations have changed. But at the same time, I genuinely, specifically where someone has confessed and there is children involved, I'm I'm very staunchly about this. Where there's children involved, as far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be a non-parole period.
Right.
Just
I come from the same place. I think children are a completely different kettle of fish, and it should be mandatory that you go straight onto the protection list,
Mhm.
regardless. Like the minute you go to jail, you should be on that list, not when you come out of jail, we'll decide what we'll do with you then. No, you got convicted, you're on the list. It
Mhm.
should be automatic. Like the shit they put me through. I mean, I was sharing a house
Yeah.
with a woman who had a child in care from a family who neglected her.
Mhm.
But I was in a separate part of the house. I had a room downstairs and they had all of upstairs. But for me, just for me to live there, she had to get me passed through the working with children check
Mhm.
so that I was allowed to live underneath the house there.
Right.
I didn't have any care of the child. I didn't have anything to do with the child. They've lived separate living spaces, but my grandchildren went to school with her. So whenever I babysat my grandchildren, of course, they were all playing together.
Mhm.
So they took all that stuff into account. And they went through my history and they gave me a hard time. They gave me a hard time over something, and I can't even remember what it was now. It wasn't even, I don't have any like criminal records, so I can't even remember what the thing was that they gave me a hard time about. But
Mhm.
I was upset with them. Like, come on, I just want to rent a room here. I'm not in care of the child.
Yep.
And I ended up leaving because I felt like if I stayed and argued to get my living with children, working with children check
Mhm.
license, I was just going to cause problems for them, and I didn't want to do that. So I ended up moving out
Right.
and living in my car for a while until I could get a rental. So I just didn't want to do that to them. And then while I'm living in my car, they fucking gave me my license for working with children.
Oh
I
no.
was like, assholes. Anyway, just wanted to mention that rigmarole because I don't have a criminal record and they gave me a freaking hard time. And
Mhm.
she's not even on that fucking list. You know what I mean? She could get the working with children. She could get, well, I don't think she's actually tried to do that certification. I think what she was doing was just living in a neighborhood with families, getting to know the neighbors, and just doing babysitting. You
Yeah.
don't need the working with children check then.
No, that's my understanding, is that she was just looking after neighbors, friends, and grandkids and that sort of thing. And I mean, it is a grey area, unfortunately, with the whole register thing, because you got to remember the register itself was only established in 2000, so she'd been convicted 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
And as weird as this sounds, even in those sorts of instances, the laws aren't supposed to apply retrospectively, because it's only in very rare instances where you can go back and apply new laws to someone that's from something in the past, even if it makes complete logical and moral sense, because as soon as you set that precedent, it can apply to all sorts of things. Um,
We seem to be setting those precedences right now. If you say something they don't like, they can apply that retroactively, apparently.
yeah.
But yeah, I didn't mean to completely disconnect the storyline there. You were saying, I forget what you were saying, and we got completely sidetracked. Uh, oh, sorry. You know, when I rebooted my computer, I lost our show notes, so
Oh
we're
no.
wing, we're winging it right now. But you were on a topic, and then we got sidetracked with a question on the screen. I forget what you were saying, because I know it was important. We'll come back to it. Something else we're talking about will probably trigger it. But
Probably. So,
so the way that they could resolve this situation with this woman
mhm.
is I believe, by bringing new charges of
Yeah. Okay. So that's where we were talking. So the simple fact of the matter is she's already been charged and found guilty of the crimes. She has effectively served um the sentences that were
dangerous.
attached to those 6 charges. So it's less that double jeopardy would apply, and more that they need to. Yeah, they basically need fresh charges if they're wanting her to go behind bars. So I understand that the brothers made allegations. I know that, I mean, historical crimes like that can be quite difficult. But yeah, at this point, as horrific as it sounds, and like I said, I'm very conflicted about it. With the way that the court system is set up, because we have to treat the worst of society equally and fairly the same as we would the best of society, I think it's probably in the best interest of the brother that he try and receive professional help. And I don't want to say leave her alone, because I don't want her left alone.
No, I'm going to say I'm actually glad he's babysitting there, because
Yeah,
he's the one that's alerting people that give their children to her to babysit. He's the one that rings the cops and says, you need to go tell these people not to let their kid go stay in her
exactly.
house. She can't have children unsupervised.
Hmm.
I mean, it just should be a given. But this is the point of what you were previously saying, that it's a toothless tiger having a registry when nobody can access it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And this
Um,
is also what what's his face went to jail for multiple times for contempt of court. What was his name again?
Darren Hinch.
Darren
Yeah.
Hinch, because he wants the registry for pedos to be public so that people can check who's living in their neighborhood. You
Yes,
can
which I
say,
fully support.
when I buy a house in X neighborhood, I want to know, is that a good neighborhood? And that's part of determining whether it's a good neighborhood or not. You can do that in American databases, in the public records of American databases. You can go, holy shit, I'm not moving there because 15 pedos live like all around that little circle.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but I personally would go one step further. I mean, here in Victoria, when you sell or purchase a property, there's something that's called a Section 32 vendor statement that includes all the property certificates that apply to that particular property. As far as I'm concerned, there should be an additional certificate that should include details of the any criminal statistics of the area, and if there is anyone registered on these particular registers within, say, a 500-meter radius. I mean, yeah, sure, that's going to affect property prices. I don't care, because I genuinely believe people moving into the area should have every right to know exactly the people that are around them. I mean, what do they say the statistics are? During your lifetime, you're going to walk past 8 serial killers on the street or something like that, or sociopaths or whatever.
Yeah.
Far as I'm concerned, it should be common knowledge, and it should be available.
To everybody. Exactly. Paul, don't go right back to the start. Like, go back to maybe 10 minutes in, because we had some technical issues.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, good.
Yeah.
No, they definitely shouldn't be near schools. Absolutely not.
Right. I think it's just our right, when we're buying a house or we're moving to a suburb, that we know what's going on. They shouldn't live near schools. Exactly, Kat. Stuff like that.
Mm.
Like, they should be placed in the community where it's safe to place them. That they don't do that. They just go, have you got a house? Oh, good. Tick, tick. Little boxes ticked.
Yeah.
So interesting. So the brother could have historical child abuse charges put against her, but those are going to be relatively small sentences compared to what she should have served. So she's still going to be out in a short period, right?
I would think so. I mean, without knowing exactly what the charges are, what he's alleged has taken place, and that sort of thing. I mean, it might still be a few years, but I mean, for obvious reasons, he's got a vendetta, and I don't blame him. So even a small amount is, in his view, probably better than nothing. So
I'm just looking at it from the community standpoint, getting her off the streets. Even a small amount's not enough. The community's not safe. The only way that they can reconcile putting her back in the community is having that public list so that the community knows who she is. They can look her up.
Mhm.
But then she changed her name too.
Yeah.
She changed her name herself. I don't know if she did it through deed poll or whatever, those details weren't given, but then she got married to someone else
Mhm.
and took his name. So now she doesn't connect back to the criminal who actually did serve the time. So, I mean, that's something that they should be keeping track of. And here's the dumb thing. Here's this dumbest thing of all. I'm trying to get my owner builder permit,
Mhm.
and they want me to prove that I was ever married, where I still have my married name and not my maiden name. I need to show them my divorce certificate, basically. So even
Right.
just to get an owner builder permit on my
Mhm.
own property, they're going to track down. I actually did get married. I changed my name. Now I'm this name. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Whereas they're not going to do that with people who have murdered children.
Mm.
It's all right. So bringing it back to statute of limitations.
So statute of limitations, depending on the charges, isn't going to be an issue. I mean, specifically, I know that there was one of the kids, for example, that she wasn't actually charged with anything in relation to. If they were to bring charges on that, they very well could, because there is no statute of limitations in relation to murdering a child. Thank God for that.
What about attempted murder? Does that have a statute of limitations?
Let me just double check. No, there's no time limit for indictable offences under the Criminal Procedure Act, so
Right.
that wouldn't be any sort of an issue.
Oh, indictable offences, so felonies to Americans.
Yes, basically. So specifically in relation to murder and attempted murder, yeah, there's no statute of limitations on that.
Yep.
Without knowing the specific details of what he's alleging, I would say that they won't bring the charges with it. Well, I mean, obviously they're not going to bring charges if it's outside the statute of limitations.
Yeah. Well, we do have to give the New South Wales Police credit for something. They did go and knock on the lady's door and tell her you can't let your children go to that woman's house unsupervised.
Yes.
So we do have to give them that credit, because normally they wouldn't intervene. Normally they'd be just like, go away, leave me alone.
Yeah. And because the thing at the time as well was, I understand that there's some confusion over the statute of limitations stuff as well, because back in the day they had a rule called the year and the day rule, which is basically if you do something that injures somebody but they don't die for 1 year and 1 day, you're not considered to have murdered them.
Oh, that's right, because one of the kids didn't die for quite a bit.
Yes. That's since been abolished, but I don't know how that would apply in this case without doing a proper deep dive into it. But that may be where the confusion with the statute of limitations is coming in, as to whether or
Right.
not
So
they
it
would be
depends when
considered.
they brought it in as to whether
Yeah.
it applies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Interesting. So this goes back to whether or not you can retroactively apply new laws. So
Yes. Which in general cases you wouldn't, because that's generally considered unfair. And I'll be perfectly honest, like I said, this case has me severely conflicted, because from an attorney's perspective, I have to say that she deserves every right under the law. As a parent, I'm sure she'll burn. But I'm sitting here going, okay, these are all the things these are my beliefs that I hold in terms of what should be done and how things should be handled and that sort of thing.
yeah.
And you just,
Yeah. And that brings us to the two sides of being a lawyer, I guess. Like there's you as a dad, just as a
Mhm.
general citizen, then there's you as a lawyer who has to represent somebody. And we did sort of briefly touch on some of this last night, and I have asked other lawyers that I've had guest on my show the
Mhm.
same question, so I might as well ask it to you. How do we go about representing someone that, let's start with just the flat, we know they're guilty.
Okay, when you say we know they're guilty, is it that I have an absolute gut feeling, or if they physically told me that they're guilty?
Well, let's say you have a gut feeling. Let's start there. You have a gut feeling that they're feeding you bullshit.
Okay, if I have a gut feeling that they're feeding me bullshit and I genuinely believe that I cannot represent them, I would apply to the court to remove myself. And I
Right.
would specifically say to the client, I believe we have a complete breakdown of the lawyer-client relationship. I don't believe that I can represent you properly and that to do so would be to your disadvantage. Basically, I'd frame it as
Oh
I
my
can't do
God,
this
that
without fucking up the
explains
case.
why Sarah Boone went through so many lawyers. I bet you that was what was happening. They
Well,
were
I
just
mean,
like,
when you
"You
deck your
guilty
lawyer,
bitch."
I'm pretty sure that there's an irreconcilable difference there.
They're just like, "Well, you're guilty, bitch. We know you are. We can't represent you. Bye."
Yeah.
Because I was trying to work out how could she go through this many lawyers? She must be so obnoxious and horrible. But now that you explain it that way, that's probably what was going on. The evidence just proves you did it, girlfriend. You filmed yourself doing it. Like, hello.
Well, I mean, it's also if you're put into a situation with a client, because obviously you've got to take client instructions. If the client wants you to run a case in a particular way that is either going to put you in an ethical conflict or is just going to put you in a position where your paramount duty to the court comes into issue, you just have to say, I can't represent you. It would be not only against the conduct rules, but it would be against my ability as a lawyer to practice.
But at the
So
same time, you literally can't say that to the judge either um, because
only in
most
very
of it's
certain
public record.
circumstances. Yeah.
It becomes public record, and now you're telling the public client attorney privileged information. So you really have to be careful how you say that in open court, really, as well.
Which is generally why you'd have to apply to the court in an ex parte application, so without the other party being there, and you'd have to, you basically have to dance around certain things.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you're in a court case, your paramount duty is to the court, so you cannot lie to the court. If there is the main thing is that's why I asked about the distinction as to whether or not you'd been told they were guilty or if you just had a gut feeling. Because if the client tells you that they're guilty, that
Right,
effectively
this was the next
handcuffs you.
step. This was the next level I was going to
Yeah.
go to. Yep. So
Um,
you're in the middle of preparing your case. You haven't gone to trial yet. You're pre-trial, and all of a sudden your client goes, "Yeah, no, I'm guilty."
That is one of the most difficult situations that a lawyer is ever going to be put in, because either you have to recuse yourself from the case in such a way that is not going to alert the other side, or you have to do a song and dance monkey show that makes it very obvious to the court and the prosecution that you've been told that the client's guilty. Because once you are told the client's guilty, you can't lie to the court. You can't point the finger at anybody else in that case. You can't say, oh, we think this person might have done it. You can't do what's called an affirmative defense. You basically have to hope and pray that the prosecution fucks up the case so badly that you don't that your client's still found not guilty. And
at the same time, literally lying to the court, not telling them.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. You can't lie to the court, so you have to not say anything. So, I mean, if you're sitting in a court case and it's a murder trial and there's no objections, there's no evidence that's being proffered, there's nothing, basically you're not putting on a defense case. That not only is that going to signal directly to the court that something's happened, but it's going to tell the prosecution that effectively you know they're guilty. And it's like you can still be put in a situation where you have to run that case. For example, if the judge does not allow you to remove yourself from the case, you will just have to sit there with your hands in your lap and let it run out, basically. And it's up to the jury to make their own inferences from what's happened. But I mean, that would be a very sucky way to deal with it, especially if you're on legal aids, because you're not getting paid much just to sit there and look like a moron.
Exactly. So you might have a situation where your client hasn't said that they're guilty, but you already know the evidence is stacked against them and they're going to lose.
Well, then you're still required to put on the most as vigorous of a defense as you can. If you don't specifically know, so say the client doesn't tell you, but you come into a piece of evidence that clearly shows that they're guilty, you're still in the same situation. If you can be 99% sure that your client did it, but if there is no smoking gun, then you still have to act as if they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So.
I believe America has a number of choices for that, Joanna. I don't know that we are I think we're a bit more black and white rather than America. America's got a number of choices because you could say, what's that plea, Alfred plea, where you're saying, like, I know the evidence is stacked against me, but I'm not going to plead guilty.
Oh, yeah, yep.
That's an Alfred plea. You've got some choices there. I think it's a bit more black and white in Australia.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, you'd basically just be pleading no contest. So you're not saying that you agree that you're guilty, you're saying you're not going to contest the charges. You're going to let them run their case, basically.
So in Australia, this is how I understand it works in Australia, and I think it does in America. You can correct me if I'm wrong here, but if you plead not guilty, then you're automatically awarded a trial. But if you plead guilty, you don't get the trial. You just go straight to sentencing. So
Yeah.
a lot of people get a little bit confused, like, what happened to the trial? Where's the trial? Why didn't we get a trial? And it depends on what happened here. Did they plead guilty? Like, they might have started pleading not guilty. You start the process of going to trial, but then they plead guilty. Now you've got to stop it. Then you'll probably go with a plea bargain of some sort. We don't have an Alfred plea in Australia, do we?
I'm just trying to think back now.
Alfred, thank you, not Alfred.
Alfred, yeah. Sorry, I just got distracted by the Daniel Morecambe stuff.
I was going to say that to Michelle just earlier when you said, I believe I saw something about one coming in. This is going to be state by state. Just like America, we do have separation of powers. Each of the states does their own roo-roo. So, but yeah, Daniel Morecambe, for those who don't know, was a little boy who went missing from Brisbane area, or down the coast a little bit. And wow, that was I don't even know where to start telling you that story. But anyway, they found his body, they found his killer, and Queensland decided, yeah, it's time that we do what we put Darren Hinch in jail for. So Sunshine Coast, thank you, Sean. So
yeah. So I mean, look, to clarify, no, we don't have the equivalent of an Alfred. It's either you either plead guilty or not guilty. There are instances where you plead guilty but privately maintain your innocence, and that may tie into a plea deal or something along those lines. But yeah, if you
wow. Runkle did. Interesting. Runkle talked about an actual situation where he liked his client, but he couldn't ethically defend her anymore because she admitted she was guilty to him mid-trial. Interesting.
Yeah, and that would have been interesting to try and pull himself out.
Have you ever had that happen, Hayden?
Thankfully, no. Mainly because I specifically, I don't have the heart for criminal trials. I tried working in the prosecutor's office for a short period and didn't get very far because I didn't. I couldn't.
The rules hard enough.
What I determined was that I didn't have the heart. If I knew someone did something and they got away with it, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So, given that there were other people that had better skills for that, I thought, no, look, I'll go into private practice. I'll work in consumer law. I'll work in corporate law, all that sort of stuff. The stuff that I'm good at, the stuff that I know, the stuff that lives don't necessarily hang in the balance.
I enjoyed corporate law. I had to study a couple of units of it prior to uni and in uni. And I enjoyed that for the same reason, because you were just looking at the civil side of everything, including rules of evidence.
Yep.
But I don't think I could do criminal law. And I actually had a friend at uni. So our uni set up like a mentor system, people who had been, it was just basically to prevent dropouts, basically. But people who had been in uni for longer than a year, so second year students mentored first year students with just basic stuff, how to operate their computer and save their shit, and write an essay, like help them like get their heads around essay writing and stuff like that. So we, as a second year student, you're automatically a mentor. You're automatically assigned someone in the mentor program. And I was assigned a law student. She was just having technical issues, like not really knowing how to use a computer properly. And she was actually submitting her notes rather than an essay.
Oh,
to
no.
sort of help her like extrapolate her notes into sentences and write a proper essay.
Okay.
These were things I had to do to get into uni because I didn't finish high school. So
All right. Yep.
so yeah, and we became very good friends from uni to present day. She's still a very good friend.
Mhm.
She went from law into her article clerkship. During her article clerkship, she realized that the two sides of law that you just pointed out were not for her, and that was family law and criminal law.
Oh, you've got to be a completely different beast to work in family law. You really do. Family law and personal injury are the two areas of law that you have to have a very specific mindset for, and you have to be built for it. To be perfectly honest, I took personal injury in law school, and it was so different that it actually tanked my grades, like my average grades, because I did not do well.
No, I didn't either. It's not till you're an adult and you're actually living in the real world, you're like, you know what? I fucking get why I needed to know maths now.
It's a bit like that, yeah.
So I was like bottom of the barrel for everything at school because I just didn't care.
Mhm.
Then I got out into the big wide world and went, holy shit, I don't know any of this math, like just basic percentage, what interest rate am I on for this credit card, and just basic shit like that. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Then when I decided, all right, now I need to finish my education, I went back to school after I think it was like 2 years.
Mhm.
I left school from I think grade 10 it was. I went back and finished grade 10 and then started grade 11. And then I ended up homeless, so I couldn't finish grade 11. And then, but during that period, I got a bit better with maths and I wanted to study science and physics.
Mhm.
So I got into those subjects. And then I never let it go. Like I fell pregnant and went, well, there goes all that.
Yeah.
You're now a stay-at-home mum. Once the kids were, as soon as the youngest one went to school, I was already trying to get into uni. So,
Yeah.
and then to get into uni, I had to do maths 1, which is, year 8 to 10 maths,
Mhm.
which was great for me because it was a refresher, the shit that I didn't pay attention to.
Yep.
And then maths 2 to be able to understand binomial theorems and advanced mathematics. And then only then they would let me into one of the science and maths faculties, which is what computing falls into.
Right.
So I had to do a lot of study, but I was really happy with the fact that I had already been in the world, had raised kids, tried to pay the bills, trying to get loans, trying to work out percentages, all that
Mhm.
shit that goes into it, buying cars and keeping the family fed and all that sort of stuff. By the time I was doing my prereqs to get into uni, I understood why I was doing it. Like I had a
Yeah.
purpose. I knew what I was doing.
Well, that's why I've always had an issue with like the VTAC ATAR setup, because when you're 18, not only do you know, well, no, even earlier than that, because you've got to start choosing your prerequisites in 16, 17, and 18.
You got
You
no
have
life
no idea
experience
what
to
you're going to do with
apply
your
it to.
life.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I think that there should be a mandatory 12 months you live out of home and away from school before you go into higher education, because then you've got that life experience. Then you've got okay, I need to choose what I'm going to do. 12 months
mhm.
living out here in the big world. What the hell am I going to do with myself? Because if I don't do nothing,
Mhm.
I'm just going to be doing nothing like I have for the last 12 months. So it's a
Yeah.
very big eye opener. And I think we should have that break so that people can choose more wisely what they're going to do in their future.
Yeah.
My
No, I
my
wholeheartedly
son
agree with you on that.
my son at primary school, like just leaving primary school, going to high school, wanted to be an architect.
Mhm.
Now he's in his 30s, mid 30s. He never even went anywhere near architecture
Yeah.
for education. He's now a computer geek like his mum. So so yeah, it just goes to prove, kids don't know.
No.
But moving on from that, where were we before I went off on the education thing? Oh yeah, my friend at uni, like, so she comes from the same place as you. A lot of it was just too heartbreaking for her to two things. The aggressive personality you need to have in those two
Mhm.
fields, family and civil, criminal.
Yep.
She doesn't have that aggressive personality, so that was one thing she didn't like, I think, from memory. And um and the heartbreak of some of the cases, especially in family law. So, no worries, Joanna. Thanks for dropping in. It was lovely to see you. It was lovely to see all of your guys in here too. I can actually see who's who in the chat because I'm on a paid account today, so I can actually see who's from where.
Oh, there you go.
There's a second benefit paying $40 for the month. So yeah, is there anything else? Let me think. Was there anything else that we covered in our brief conversation last night that we haven't covered yet? Because I lost all my notes. All set up in front of us, and then I rebooted.
Let me just check my notes if there's anything that, because it actually really got me interested in this case. I'll probably have to actually do a proper deep dive into like the details of it and that sort of thing, because that video that you sent was very, I mean, it was very, well, it was very Daily Mail, let's put it that way.
Right, they're playing with the emotions and not really telling us much about the case.
Yes. So,
did you find her case?
I tried to dig into what documents I could. There weren't a lot of them that were available, but there's a lot of historical articles, thankfully. So I was able to find. Hang on, where are we?
That's the problem with Australia, guys. We actually don't have access to public records like you guys do. We can't trace up information about cases and get the court dockets and the transcripts. We have access to none of that. So even Hayden as a practicing lawyer, so I'm sure you could if they were your client, though.
Oh, I mean, if I physically walked into one of the courts in New South Wales, I probably could. There's probably information that I could get, but because it's such an old case, a lot of it probably isn't digitized.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
this is the trouble I had trying to work out what happened with my grandma when she was murdered. She was murdered in 1963, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing was digitized, obviously.
Yeah.
Nothing was digitized. 62, it was she was murdered 7th of October 1962. Nothing was digitized, and what they have digitized is really just scans or faxes of the documents that they printed at the time.
Yep. It's not the notes. It's not the trial commentary. Hell, half of the judge's reasonings for various things aren't even recorded, which is really annoying because, I mean, we keep the law reports, which is basically significant cases get printed into a book. At some point, I want to put one of my sets that I've got in the bookshelves behind me because, frankly, they just look cool.
Yeah.
But like it's.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to us. I just wanted to share this so you can see my grandma's death certificate. That's all we know. We know
wow,
nothing.
that's all that they had.
That's all they had. So I actually ordered a copy of it and asked for more details so that. Oops, that's not a good button. I asked for more details, and then I tried to dig through the newspaper archives and everything like that, and I just couldn't find anything. So what I know about her murder is only what family members have passed down. So I was born in 1969, so just after all of this. So it wasn't when I was alive. I never knew my grandma. The only grandma that I have known is her sister, who is the reporting party, which I've blanked out here, certified in writing by, that's who I knew as my grandmother for all of those years. So I know nothing. I know enough about it to know what they experienced, and I have read some of what his family experienced, just through what's that website called again? Ancestry.com.
Yep.
So they've written, some little blurbs on their own father and who he was to them. So, and it's been, it's hard to go, I feel badly for that family that they went through that, knowing that, that's what he did to my family.
Yeah.
It's really hard to find yourself in that situation and to read their feelings about their dad and not feel animosity about it. It was really hard. So many people in my family are very religious and found that very easy because of their faith. But I struggle with it for a little while, but I'm good with it now. Like, I understand they were not involved, they didn't do it. They just knew um they just knew from their faith, I guess, that forgiveness was the answer for them, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So,
Okay.
what's with your father? So I seen you write that in the chat.
Oh, Boosh asked what my whereabouts was in 1963, and someone else said I wasn't a twinkle in my father's eye, and I just said, well, my father wasn't a twinkle in his father's eye at that stage. So,
Right, right. So my dad was, I think 12 or 13 when she was murdered.
Mhm.
And he had, who's the baby? I forget which one's the baby. I think he's got a younger sister and an older stepsister, so daughter of the new partner that murdered her.
Mm.
She's the one that found grandma. So she went through her own kind of living hell, I guess, because
Mm.
it was her father, whereas the other kids, it was their stepfather. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
A
Okay.
different thing for her to go through than for them. But and I don't know which stories to believe with the family. Like, I tend to listen to my grandma because she was there. She was the person who certified her sister's death, all that sort of stuff. So I
Mhm.
tend to go with what she says. But she's also getting on a bit, and I don't know how good her memory is. It's not that I ever think she would tell a tall story. It's just I don't know how good her memory is. She also,
Yeah.
she also prefers to remember the good things about her sister. Let's talk about the good stuff. Let's remember her in this, which I get, I understand, but I also want to know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Because unfortunately, otherwise, everything's going to be lost to time. So,
Right, it is completely lost to time. So yeah, it's pretty sad.
mm.
But yeah, I wasn't even born in. I was born in '69. I think I'm a little bit older than you. I know, and
Yes. Yep.
tad. um, but yeah, that back then they didn't. They didn't. I don't even know what they did for court records. What did they do in the
Well,
'60s and
well,
'70s?
that's just it. I mean, because I've got when I took over the firm at my regional office, they've got files going right back till 1901, and
Wow.
looking through those files, and even some of the ones going back in the 80s, the files definitely started getting fatter and thicker.
Mm,
But prior to that, there might be a few sheets of paper that were kept by even the law firms for their record files, and it's like so much of that information is just missing, and it's
yeah.
just yeah.
I remember when I worked for the Department of Lands, they have, records that go back to the early 1800s.
Mhm,
And one of my jobs was I used to fall asleep in the filing room. It's this massive room, and the filing cabinets are like entire walls, and they
mhm,
slide back and forth and
yep,
collapse on each other. And it was just this whole room of sliding filing cabinets. And I imagine that's what it was like, right? Like, if in a
mm.
law office, if you're going back to 1900s, you just had these massive filing cabinets just full of data.
Well, I mean, back then it wasn't even really filing cabinets. They had wall to ceiling shelves just on every wall in the office, and every file was folded in half and slotted in and numbered and everything. And it's just great swaths of paper, honestly. And like,
Imagine being the data entry person who's got to digitize that. That's why we never digitized anything, because
mhm.
they couldn't hire some they couldn't hire some lackey to just sit there and do data entry and put it all with. But I would like that to have happened, because then I could have actually found out what happened,
Yeah.
through the court thing with my grandma. So I'm younger than you, Shane. Well, there you go. Yay, there's someone around younger than me. Sorry, older than me. Young enough to be my kid. Well, that's kind of how I feel about, most people are coming at me sideways. It's like, My kids are older than you. Shut the fuck up.
Respect your elders. Fuck off.
Yeah. Valerie, I worked in a file room just like Aussie Insider is describing, scanning the docs. Yeah, I don't even remember what I was supposed to be doing down there. It would put me to sleep. They'd send me down there at like 2 p.m. And it was like the worst time to be sitting at your desk having to read shit because you're just so tired. You know, it's that time of the day where you really need to be active to get through the slumber of the afternoon. It was shocking. I used to just fall asleep in there. I cannot tell you for the life of me today what I was supposed to be doing down there in the file room. It's completely, I mean, it was 30 years ago. So, I mean, that could be part of why I can't remember. But the only bit I do remember is getting busted falling asleep between the filing cabinets. Pull one open and sit down on the floor to find the file. And then 2 hours later, people are like, where the fuck did she go?
Oh, no.
Draron says, my Nana's oldest sister died in a fire when they were children. I found the card the local schoolhouse wrote to them for condolences. You should look up greeting cards from the 40s or 50s. Well, we don't have any records like that. Like I'm sure America does, but...
Oh, no, Draron's in Queensland.
Oh, Queensland?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, you need to fill me in on how to do that, Draron, because I don't know how to do that. I said I joined Ancestry so I could find out more of the connections.
Yeah.
So I did find out, you know, through that she was born in America, and she was born in Massachusetts actually, and she was my grandfather, her partner, husband, she did marry him, had gone away for war and shacked up with a I think it was a Korean girl. I can't remember now.
Okay.
And so she left him, and then she met an American guy, married him, and then they migrated to Australia. So I found all the ship records where they came across on the ship. And I know that my dad's older brother was born in America, and he was born just after they got to Australia. So I found all of that information. So I did find, you know, enough to sort of work out who they were, just not, you know, what actually happened with that case. And it was in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Just so you know, it was Brisbane where the death happened. She's buried at Toowong Cemetery. Your Nana has all the physical documents still. So I actually recently bought a new copy of the death certificate so I can frame it up and do something nice with it for Auntie Judy. So
yeah,
the aunt that I know, I call her grandma now. So just so you know who I'm talking about, this the same person, really, the only grandma I ever knew. But anyway, so there. Yeah, sorry about that, Drone. I didn't mean to play down your older sister's death. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, so what I needed to ask you, are you a barrister?
No, I very specifically did not want to take the bar course. I'm an introvert, but I still enjoy like having conversations with people. Like I said, if you're a barrister, you can only be instructed by another lawyer to take a case. And so then all the real client interaction is done by the lawyer. Yeah. You still have meetings with the clients, obviously, to discuss the case and that sort of thing. But no, I don't think that my personality would suit being a barrister, honestly.
Yeah. And what was the other thing I was going to ask you about that? How long did you study for to become a lawyer? That's probably...
So I took a slightly different track than a lot of lawyers are these days. What I did was I went and did my university degree, which was 4 years. I then went and worked for a law firm as a legal secretary for a little while as well. And then after working in that law firm, they were kind enough to Basically, give me what's the equivalent of what was the articleship, because they don't have that anymore. They had, at the time that I did it, they had what was called supervised workplace training, because got to get rid of the fancy name for it.
Right.
Um,
I
but
didn't realise that article clerkship was actually the old word for it, because I still use that term. But
no, you say article clerk, pretty much anyone's still going to understand what it is.
yeah,
I mean, anyone that's anyone over the age of 40 is going to understand what it is anyway, because most of the new generation do what's called legal practical training, which is basically they go and do 6 months to a year further study, where they are given fake cases, where they're given it's basically an additional training course.
yeah.
And it's not really on the job training with real world clients. It's learning how to do various things. But in my personal opinion, I feel like having the on the job experience, learning from actual lawyers how everything works, I feel like that's more beneficial, frankly.
What's the standard route, so that we've got the contrast?
So the standard route is you do your law degree, you then go to do either through Leo Cousins or the College of Law, you go and do legal practical training, which is your 6 month to 12-month course, depending on whether or not you do full time or part time.
Yep.
And then you're admitted to practice. You become a lawyer. You go and get a graduate lawyer job, and you're thrown into the deep end. Now, I can't speak as to how the quality of the course is and that sort of thing, because I didn't do it, so I'm not going to say that. What I am saying is that I genuinely believe my on-the-job training during my article clerkship put me in a better mindset for how to be a lawyer, in my opinion. Because not only did I learn how to run cases, I learned the business side of it. I learned trust accounting. I learned client interactions. I learned when you need to tell people to piss off.
Right. I think my friend took the same route as you, because she did workplace experience.
Yep.
And then I think she was placed in a family law firm.
Okay. Yep.
And then she was like, yeah, no, I don't like that. She tried a few other things and went, yeah, no, I'm not doing any of that anymore. I think she's gone back to uni.
Oh, there you go.
I haven't been in contact with her for a bit. We go a few years without contact, and then we run into each other and do a big catch up again. She lives in a different part of Australia. She was very young. Like, I was an older person at uni. My youngest was already at school, at primary school. So I think she was like straight out of high school and starting her degree straight out of high school when I met her. She's always been a lot younger than me. So she went off and married and had children and, did all these things in between. We don't, in different parts of Australia too. So I'm following my grandchildren around the countryside, trying to keep track of them, and moving from North Queensland to New South Wales. And it's funny because we both met in North Queensland at the uni next to my house.
Yeah.
We both end up back down here, not too far away from each other. Now she's divorced and, doing new things with her life. She's actually just down the road. She's only like an hour away. It's funny.
There you go.
It's funny how it all worked out in the end. But she's much younger than me, so she had a different lifestyle or track, I guess, of life. When I met her, she was still partying. Like, she was still, first year of uni, party.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, so I think she did the similar track to you. I don't think she took the normal route either. So
yeah.
So that was why
sometimes the road less traveled is more interesting.
Right. And I think you do get more person to person experience rather than in the books the whole time.
Yeah.
When you go that route. So, and I do see that you are very much a personable person. So
cheers.
That seems to me like, I don't think I've ever met a barrister who's personable except for Black Belt. He's probably the one person you could say, he's personable. He's totally the opposite of any other barrister I've ever met.
Okay. Well, there you go. I mean, I've dealt with a few over the course of my career, and some of them are definitely better than others. Some of them, I mean, much like lawyers, some people just have the social skills of a gnat.
Which is why they went down that track, by the way. If you know that you're socially limited, then that's the obvious path to choose, right? Because you're in the books more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to specialize in appellate stuff, if you want to specialize in just court work and being a barrister, I mean,
Gemma wants to know, would you wear a wig?
so they're sort of phasing the wigs out, but yes.
Australia's too hot for wigs.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be 40 degrees here today. I'm not, you know. Um, I
We're
mean,
currently reading, hang on, 26 degrees where I am up on the mountain. But it's going to get hotter. Usually from about 1 or 2 to 4, that's when we have our hottest part of the day up here on the mountain. Down, as soon as I come off the mountain, like I go to town, holy fucking Hannah, that 2 degrees makes a difference. Like, seriously. It's -2 where Valerie is.
It's 36 now, and it's going to hit 40 by 1 o'clock.
36. Fuck. We were just sitting here deciding what we were going to do for air conditioning in our new build. And I was saying to my son, like, can you live without AC? Because I'm pretty sure I'm at the age now where I fucking don't care for heat anymore. Just doing the AC. But it turns out that we actually get more stars on the energy rating. So, like, to build a new build now, you're going to meet all these standards. And one of the new standards is 7-star energy rating.
Oh, God. Yep.
And apparently I was only getting up to 6.3 until I added an air conditioner and took the insulation out of my floor.
Interesting.
Figure that one out. So in winter here, I got wooden floors in the cabin where I live up on the mountain. In winter here, we get, like I said, it's a couple of degrees cooler because we're up so high. But I can't walk on the floors because it's so freaking cold. And half of warming my cabin is that. The cold covered up through the floors. It's too freaking cold. So when I designed my island cabin, I was like, you know what? I'm going to insulate the floors this time so that my heater's not working so hard in winter to keep floors, to keep the house warm. But then I do the energy assessment, and the energy assessor's going, you need to take all that insulation out from the floors. That's not going to work. And I can get you at least half a star more. And I was like, get the hell out of here. And if you get an air conditioner, we can give you another half star. I'm like, no way. Like, Southeast Queensland is actually fairly cool most of the year. Like, we have a couple of hot days and a couple of cold nights.
Yep.
In winter and summer, but it's pretty average all year round. Like, because I come from far Northern Territory and far northwestern Australia, I'm used to that sort of heat. I'm used to no winter, no summer, just wet and dry seasons and very little temperature difference between the two. When I come to the East Coast, it's to me it's fairly like flat. There's not too much cold and there's not too much hot. So I kind of like it on the East Coast, but apparently for Brisbane area, you're going to get better stars for your rating, for your energy rating, if you do have an air conditioner, which is chewing more electricity. How is that energy conservative?
That's a damn good question. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense, especially like the removal of the insulation. I mean, what are they saying, that it's going to keep too much heat in during summer?
I don't know. Honestly, I would have thought that if you're cooling, so because it's got because it's on piers, on stumps, under floor cooling. So maybe that's what they're thinking, that I'm blocking that under floor cooling. Under air current. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. It seems counterintuitive. Like, it was really hard for me. I sat here on the CSIRO's, like, it's an energy predictor, so that you know what you're doing when you go to your energy assessor and you pay them your, $600 or $1,200 to do your assessment and get your certificate. You know what you're handing over to them. Like, the building industry would just have you, no, you just take it straight to the energy assessor and then they'll charge you by the hour for them to work it all out. And I'm like, no, I want to know what I'm handing over first. So I went to the CSIRO one
Yeah.
and worked out your whole of building, whole of envelope. No, sorry, envelope of your building. So that's all your insulation and your windows and shit.
Mhm.
And then you got your whole of building energy usage,
Yeah.
which includes your envelope. So those are the two calculators. I fucked around with that thing for like 6 months before I worked out which things are triggering what, so that I know what to add more of or less of.
Mhm.
Took me 6 months just playing with that calculator over and
Yeah, but
over
you got
again.
there eventually. I mean, what
I,
did
I don't
so
know that I am there. I'm still waiting for the assessor to tell me that I'm there. But yes,
okay.
I got the estimate from CSRO. I'm in the bracket of 6.9 to 7.5 or 9 stars, depending on which way I go about it. So I'm in a good bracket. I just need the energy assessor to confirm it now. So,
Yeah.
but so less, because I'm building a tiny home. This is
Mhm.
an issue where I've just realized through this whole process. You have a lot of wall space. Sorry, a little amount of wall space with a lot of window coverage, and so
Yeah.
that energy from the sun coming through the windows is a lot more per wall space. Whereas if you've got a large wall space in a house, for example, it's a small amount of window space to wall space. So I worked out smaller windows is a key.
Yep.
More insulation in your ceiling and your walls is another key.
Mhm.
When I add the insulation under the floor, it drops my stars. So she was exactly right about that. Don't ask me how or why, but she was exactly right about that.
So, how did you pick which sort of model of tiny home you're going with, or was it just you designed one yourself?
We just started with the shell and the shape,
Yep.
and then worked with the NCC provisions. Basically, you have to have X, Y, Z that
Mhm.
leaves when you're building a tiny home. You've got fuck all choice. How do you turn a wheelchair around in a bathroom? For fuck's sake, I don't know. Well, not in a tiny home because your bathroom's only so wide. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the NCC provisions literally build your tiny house for you. You've got to have 800 wide doors. You've got to have step-free entry all the way from your front of your house into one entry of your building, all the way through to your bathroom and into your shower. If you
Right.
don't have step-free all the way, which is really hard to do with a house on stilts. I mean, I see how that's applicable if you're building on a slab. You're going to
Mhm.
lay a concrete slab, your concrete driveway's part of, meets your concrete slab. It's all one level. I get that.
Yep.
That's not how it is when you're building a house on stilts. So you'll be familiar with Queenslanders, for example. Like this is a classic build for cooling, natural cooling in Australia, the Queenslander style of build,
Yep.
and they're on bloody big stilts. You're talking two-story building, and the bottom story is completely
Empty.
uh,
Yeah, I
free.
remember when we lived up in Darwin, we had to basically the entire underside of the house. There was a separate bedroom down there with the laundry, but effectively underneath the entire first floor was just it was all airflow, so that it'd come up through the driveway and just keep things moving along. So
Yeah. So how do you do wheelchair access in that sort of building? You know, like um, so there's some issues with where they're going with rather than I'm in a wheelchair, so I probably need a one level building to
mhm.
buy. So one level buildings should have this applied to them. They're just going, no, any building has to have wheelchair access. So this means that
Okay.
double the cost of my shell, my building shell,
Mhm.
is how much fucking ramp I have to add so a wheelchair can get in my house.
Wait, what? The ramp is
Yeah.
going to be double the cost of this original shell.
Yes.
See, this is
Yes.
what I mean with red tape and all this kind of bullshit. I mean, I can understand safety concerns, but at a certain point, we shouldn't have as much red tape around building as we have. If someone wants to buy a property and wants to build something on said property, provided it's not going to go up in flames or you sign a waiver saying you're not going to sue the government or the construction company, you should be allowed to build whatever the fuck you want on your property.
Oh,
Like,
it's so
I mean,
fucking hard. It's not like that at all. I mean, I was of that opinion when I first started building, but I'm learning differently.
unfortunately.
Unfortunately, that's what's holding my build up. Everyone's like, "Are you in your house yet?" It's like I haven't even finished my fucking drawings.
Oh, no.
Like I'm still drawing fucking shit and redrawing shit every time I fucking learn something new.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such a big headache trying to do a design that is what you like as a design and architecturally looks great, but also meets all these NCC standards. Like there's points where I just didn't feel like I was designing anything myself at all. The bathroom,
Right.
for example, you need 900 between the front of your toilet and the wall and 900 either side. And by the time you've got 900 plus your toilet depth, you've got to actually own your toilet first to be able to measure out your depth. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People think it's funny because when I'm talking about it online, I literally don't have a toilet to measure yet. So it's, oh, you don't have a shitter, ha 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 ha. Like, are you shitting in a hole? It's like, no, I don't live on the property yet, you fucking moron.
Dumbasses.
Dumbasses. But yeah, and so it kind of ties you into putting the cart before the horse. Like you don't really know what your final architectural design is going to be until you step through all of your
All the
NC
processes and red tape.
NCC provisions. Once you've stepped through all your, while you're stepping through all your NCC provisions, well, you need to know what depth your toilet is so that you can measure out the total width of your bathroom.
Yeah.
It's like, but I haven't even got my fucking toilet. I'm still doing drawings. Like I'm not even at that point yet. It's just roundabout the way everything goes.
Yeah.
Trying to get quotes for things. So I did the owner builder course, and they teach you how to get quotes and how to budget your build and how to build your budget before you start your build so you know what you're building and what your budget's going to be. So then I get through that course and I'm like, all right, now I need to get all my quotes in. So I'm out there asking for quotes and they're like, have you got your DA yet? I'm like, no, I'm at the beginning where I'm getting quotes. I don't know what my builds are going to cost yet. I know you need to have your development approval yet. But the problem is you need to submit your quotes with your building approval. Like, hello. Oh my God, everyone's just so fucking backwards here. I get NCC is doing it this way, but then the builders need to understand this is the way it's being done. So quoting comes first. Then, once you've got your quoting in, you know what you're buying. Now you can finish your drawings because you know what you're buying. But no, nobody takes any of that into account. There's no logical step process. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
anyway.
No, I get it.
Got totally off track there.
Oh, it's all good. That's it. Look, it's the important things in life, and sometimes you just want to vent or help people understand and explain what's going on in your life. I completely get that.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's days where I just sit in front of the computer and I just like verbal diarrhea crap just so that I have it out of my head. Not that those videos are ever going to see the light of day. It's more just about,
Do it. Do it. Don't let me hold you back. I've already taken us off track multiple times. Unless you press for time, but please do feel free. Like we've got the business end of shit out the way.
Yeah.
Like yourself, I will go and trim that out and make other videos out of it and whatever for the important parts that we covered.
Yeah.
So that people don't have to listen to the entire stream if we do get off track or have technical issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, please do if you got verbal diarrhea. Have you actually built a house yourself?
No, but I've helped plenty of people do it. It's planning and development, subdivision, all that sort of stuff. It's all part and parcel with what I've done in the past few years. So ADHD side quest. Yes. Exactly.
Right. So you've been doing the paperwork end of everything.
Yes. Yeah. And it's always fun when you have clients that come in and, well, I've got this property and I want to carve it up and sell it off, but I don't know how to do any of it and I want you to do it. And I'm like, okay. So we're not, have you instructed a surveyor yet? No. How do I do that? Don't worry, I'll deal with it. Have you gone and had drainage and utilities planned out? No, not yet. Don't worry, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, because I haven't even got a building planned yet. I just want to subdivide and sell it.
Yep.
That's what you normally get. Like here where I live, I would love to buy just a little 500 square corner of this property. It's 80 acres.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I would just like a little 500 square on the creek front here. I would be fucking totally happy with that, because then it's right here. I can build it here. It's on my doorstep. I can store the stuff here. I've got 80 acres to fucking store shit. And I can do it at my own pace. That would be fucking perfect. But the cost of subdividing here in this particular area in New South Wales is actually hundreds and thousands of dollars. The land itself is probably only worth 50.
Yeah.
But the cost of subdividing means I would be paying, I might as well buy a 800 square block in the city, you know what I mean? Because it's going to be the same price. But yeah, it's the cost of all. Like, I'm like, how does all this rack up? How do you
well,
go?
they generally what they do is they make it prohibitively expensive to the point where only people that already have significant capital behind them can do it, or someone that is dividing up enough land that they can basically piss away one of the lots that they're going to subdivide. Like, in general, if you're going to subdivide a lot, generally what I suggest to clients is that if you're going to subdivide for less than six into less than 6 different lots, you need to have other capital behind you, because you're going to lose the equivalent of one of those plots of land in fees and charges and development and construction and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's if you're going to build on it, if you're going to have all the utilities and everything connected and all that sort of stuff. Because I mean, it can be hundreds of thousands if you're not careful as to how much you're developing. So it's
Makes sense. That's why my landlord said no when I asked him. He already knew. No, I don't have that capital. Sorry.
yeah, no, I can kind of understand that.
Yeah. So I had looked around the area to see if there were any like small blocks being sold in the area with nothing on them.
Mhm.
Now I know why. There isn't. Crazy. I didn't even get into that side of things. Like, I'm just struggling with the block I've freaking got. I've
Mhm.
got 500 square on a new development. So the council on Russell Island, going back to like the 80s, I think it was,
Mhm.
they subdivided parts of Russell Island and sold them off dirt cheap for like $1,000 each to like the hippies.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And so the hippies all went up there and went off grid and created their own sort of communities there.
Yeah.
And the council came in and said, "What? You're living in a shipping container? We'll have none of that shit." "What? You're living off grid and you're not using our power grid? You will have none of that shit either." And so what happened was Redland Bay City Council
Mhm.
is where it falls under. They decided all of the council laws that apply to the mainland now apply to the islands.
Of
So
course.
right. So all the hippies were like, yeah, we're out of here. You're going to modernize our little community that we all spent a lot of money. And like, they went from buying their blocks for $1,000
Yeah.
to the council stepping in. They're only worth $30,000 from the 80s to now. Like, they should have made their property should have been worth a lot more.
Yeah.
So they're pissed because they're not even getting any real value for having bought that land from the government.
Mm.
So that creates that issue for them. All their houses are not up to standard building standards. So
Mhm.
they've got to completely destroy everything and start from scratch to be and then they fall under the new building codes.
Which will charge them through the nose.
Right. So a lot of people just fled ship. And then when they did that, the council decided to divide up all the swamplands as well and sold off all the swamplands. So I was just very lucky to get a place on the hill, which is out of the swamplands,
Yep.
just far enough away from the busy town centre and away from the swamp to be sort of comfortable.
Mhm.
But it was the last block on the island that was in that I would ever buy zone. There was two. There was the one I bought just up. It's like 30 meters above sea level,
Yep.
or 25 meters above sea level, which I was happy with,
Mhm.
just in case we have a tidal wave or something. The other end was a double the price block, which was right up on a hill, right next to the tower and the lighthouse and the Wi-Fi tower and all that. I was like, yes, I like this block. But it
Okay.
was double the price, so I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can afford that block. It had a few extra features. They already had their builder's power connected. They already had the internet to
Yeah.
the road curb, stuff like
Yep.
that.
So we're trying to recoup the actual development costs out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was very happy with the one that I bought, but it's the newest sort of subdivision that the council has done to rip the public off with shitty blocks, essentially. So I got myself a shitty block of land.
Yep.
I think it'll be fine eventually, like once they start putting in the asphalt roads and guttering and proper facilities in. I
Mhm.
think it will be actually fine in the long run, but just for now, this is new subdivision. It's all dirt. It's all being washed away and eroded, and the roads are
Mm.
so fucking shocking. But my block's actually pretty good, so pretty happy with that. But I don't really know what else to do with it other than put a building on it.
Yeah.
They tell me once I put a building on it, I will go from the 60K margin of putting the building on it
Mhm.
to around the 300 to 350 margin. So
Okay. Yeah. So at the moment they're calculating it at bare land compared to capital improved. So yeah, that makes sense. 350 is not, it's nothing to sneeze at.
right, if I can get there,
Yeah.
I just got to fucking get there. It hasn't been fun. Would I recommend someone do own a builder? Only if you're a fucking I gotta have my nose in the books kind of person.
Mm. Yeah.
Only if you can do the study, because you've got to do that course first, which I knocked over in a couple of days, by the way. It's a 3-week course. I knocked it over in 4 days
Yeah.
because I am a study person. I just want to get it out the way.
Yep.
Because I already knew how to do a spreadsheet and how to add up fucking budgets and shit. I've done all of that in the past anyway. So I found it very easy to get through that course. But then you get to the NCC provisions and they're written like a fucking multiple choice questionnaire,
Yep.
which sounds easy when it's a multiple choice, except actually what I would like to do, this is what I think is a sellable software.
Mhm.
Take the NCC provisions, because it's all written like a software program.
Yeah.
So you've got and
Yep.
or. You understand how an or search is different to an and search. So you got
Mhm.
this search term and this search term means look for both.
Mhm.
Or you've got this search term or that search term, so you're looking for either. So
Mhm.
that's how the NCC provisions are sort of written. So
Okay.
you need to have this A and B or C, D, E, F. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So logically, you could actually write that out as you could write that out as codes. It just spits out the answer at the end.
Right. So most software is just and or, like condition statements. Really, it's just a bunch of those all you know put together into a program.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I might invest my time in actually writing the if and or fucking NCC software program so that people can actually get around this without having to. Because have you ever seen how big the document is?
I haven't bothered to. No, I'm assuming it's probably thousands though.
It's a fucking law book in itself. You know how fat a law book is.
Oh, yeah, I'm acutely aware.
So I think
That one is split into 3 different books.
exactly. So the NCC is actually split into like 5 different books as well. So I can't remember how many books, but volume 1 and volume 3, volume 1 to 3, I think it is. So it's 3 volumes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to read all of that. Like, I mean, sure, you go, all right, I'm not in the commercial sector, so this clause doesn't apply to me. But they don't have book 3 is for commercial.
No, it's all, everything will be peppered throughout it, so you have to read the entire thing.
All right,
I hate it
it's
when they do that.
fucking pain in the ass. So I thought, you know what, that's a sellable software. I'm gonna fucking focus on that one day.
Yep.
And just make it fucking easier for owner builders. And like just have it from start to end. Here's what you need to know as an owner builder.
Mhm.
Here's what you need to know about, the course and structuring your build. Here's who you need to hire if you want to get to this point. Here's what you need to have in place to get to this point. And here's all your NCC. Type in what type of building it is, and blah, blah, blah. Here's
And
what
just spits everything out.
here's what applies to you personally. You don't have to read the whole fucking manual.
Yeah, that would be a banger. Honestly, I can see that selling quite well in the industry.
Right. I have a couple of builders going, yeah, you should do that. If I have a builder on board who would help me do it,
Yeah.
and make sure that I got, the everything right with the
Mhm.
NCC provisions. I did the and or and ifs and buts, everything right.
Yep.
I would feel a lot more confident. I just don't know that I'm going to get a builder on board, because breaking down how your brain works these things out and putting it into writing for software is a part where I lose everybody. Taking the algorithm out of your brain and writing it in code is the part where people glaze over and just go, yeah, nah, can't follow that.
Yeah, unfortunately, not everyone's brains are sort of set up to handle that sort of logic, unfortunately, but
Right. So, have we got any more questions for Hayden himself, like just about him person? If you lived in Tasmania, you get snow down there. Would you be more at home even if it snowed down there last Christmas? Or it even snowed down there last Christmas. The 3 times I've been to Tasmania is because my friends in Tassie said, hey, there's snow up on the mountain. You should get down here because I've never seen the snow before.
Mhm.
The first time we drove down there, so it took us a couple of days. It took us
Yep.
like 70 something hours to drive from North Queensland
Ooh,
to get
yep.
on the barge and go over. So we missed the snow. The second time I flew, I thought it's cool. I'm like, I'm there. It was fucking gone by the time I got there. The third time, the person just lied to me because they just wanted me to come down to visit. So there was no snow.
Oh, that sucks.
So
No, I particularly I want to take the little one up for a snowy Christmas at some point, but you got, I mean, the one of my core childhood memories was going up to the Grampians on a school trip and like building a snow fort and that sort of thing. And I just kind of want to do that one year and just even if the snow is like this on the ground, I just want to be able to sort of put it together and make a snowball. Just
right.
pelt it.
See, the closest I've come to snow is hail. It hails here
Yep.
like every wet season. We get hail up here on
Mhm.
the mountain. But the other day they were coming down like ice cubes. They were like big, like straight out of the fridge size ice cubes. I was
Damn.
like, that's the biggest I've ever seen them. But you can't make snowballs out of that shit.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, it's got to be the small powdery stuff that sort of sticks together. You try and shove a couple of ice cubes together, it's going to end badly.
So back in the olden days, when I would defrost the freezer manually,
Mhm.
is that what snow's like? You
It's not that
You've
dissimilar,
probably
yeah.
never seen it because it's probably not even in your era. when
No,
you
no, no.
had
I've
to do
defrosted
it.
a couple of freezers before. I mean,
Yeah,
we actually literally just got rid of our what we call our back fridge, but I mean, it was my beer fridge basically. The
yeah.
seal along the top of the door had actually gone, so it was sort of seeping in, and we get this thin layer of frost building up. And yeah, I'd sort of like put it together and like throw it and whatever else, but we just got rid of that this Christmas.
Right,
Um,
and so that's what Jason's calling packing snow, not
yes,
wet snow. So when we've defrosted the fridge a bit, it's wet snow, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, is my understanding.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a fucking clue. Never even seen the snow because I grew up in Northern Territory in far northwestern Australia and outback Queensland. That's where I spent all of my years before I moved to the East Coast. So moved to North Queensland, had a baby, and got stuck there for 25 years. So yeah, I never saw the sorry, the snow.
Yeah,
Ballarat has snow, does it?
yeah, but that means I got to go to Ballarat.
How far is Ballarat from you?
Oh, it's only actually it's probably what, an hour and a half. It's not like it's far. It's more that doing a lot of my education in Bendigo, there's a bit of town rivalry there, and yeah, I don't know. It's sort of like, wow, I just had a complete and utter brain meltdown.
When I was a teenager, my dad drove us to, I don't even remember where we were going, to be honest, but I know we went to Ballarat and saw the gold town and,
Sovereign Hill and that, yeah.
all the costumes at Sovereign Hill, and we did all of the famous people throughout history and their burial sites and graves and stuff, and
Mhm.
even Ned Kelly, I think,
Yep.
on our way down there. But yeah, it was summer, so it was like visiting Central Queensland at the time. So yeah, no snow there when we went down there.
Oh, fair enough.
I lived in Canberra in the mid 80s and it snowed there for the first time in like 40 years. We used to go skiing in Thredbo whenever we could. It's pretty awesome, but I hate the cold. I actually prefer the cold over the warm, to be honest, over the hot.
Yeah, we like to joke that Lady Overlord has a broken thermometer in her brain.
Why?
Well, when it's ridiculously hot in the house, she'll be turning the heater on, or if it's like she doesn't seem to feel the heat. Whereas Scarlett and I will be sitting there sweating bullets, and we're like, "Let's turn the aircon on." And she's like, "No, it's cold." I'm like,
Right. I'm
but,
so glad that my son doesn't complain when I want the AC on, like,
mhm.
because when he first moved home,
Yeah,
it was supposed to be temporary, but then I decided to build a wing onto our new build for him. But when he first moved home, it was only going to be temporary. I was like, shh, don't say a word. This is my temperature. I live like this. Fucking handle it.
deal with it. Yep.
He actually doesn't complain that he's hot or cold. He'll just pop a jacket on if he gets too cold. But I normally feel it long before he does. He's a much bigger person than me. But yeah, we don't have those issues. But I can imagine um, if you've got a size difference between you and the missus, you're feeling it long before she is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it
Or
doesn't help that I'm a fat ass, so. um,
Shane used to live in Mount Pleasant behind Sovereign Hill. There you
oh, there
go.
you go.
Someone's asking, do you think that the Uvalde case is going to end in a mistrial?
I'm hearing there's some stuff, but I mean, again, I haven't kept up to date with the trial, but apparently there's something going on in the last couple of hours that,
Someone said it's Aussie lawyers.
yes, I saw that. Someone said that they hired an Aussie lawyer. I'm like, dude, you better represent. Um,
How does an Australian lawyer get to practice in an American state?
well, see, that's interesting because I did actually look into it because at one point I was thinking I might actually move across the, God, no, the pond is between us and the UK, isn't it? No, I was thinking of making the jump. So if you are admitted as a lawyer here in Australia, depending on the state, you go to in America, there is mutual recognition. You have to still sit a test and that sort of thing. But if you pass the test in, say, New York, you're then cleared to be admitted in like 15 of the states in America.
So another lawyer still has to invite you on. You can't just go represent.
Oh, no. So, I mean, I don't think that you'd be able to just go in pro hoc vice. I think you'd have to pass the bar in at least one state there. But then you'd have to go through the admission process if you wanted to act on your own.
So we have a lot of
Um,
lawyers who would go over there and do the bar. Like that's
oh
second
yeah, I
nature.
mean, like, God, when I was younger, I was thinking about doing it just for the sake of it, just so I could say that I could. Um, and thank God I double thought about that because actually looking through the bar exam materials, like, this would actually take a lot of my time.
Right. It's not that it's too hard, it's that fitting it into while you're trying to work and raise a family.
Yeah, exactly. And like, are the bragging rights really worth it? Probably not. Um,
AP says passing the bar or pro hack VC.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if there was a reason why he'd be in pro hoc vice without being admitted in an American state. I'd say more likely he's an Australian attorney that has moved across, has passed the bar, and has some sort of expertise to make it worth it.
Is that the reason people are presuming it might end in a mistrial? Because they're Australian lawyers that have a very high opinion of us over there, apparently.
No, I don't think that's what it is. I think it sounds like there might have been something, there may have been some evidence that was suppressed or something. I mean, I'm only just looking at headlines. Rolling Stone saying that prosecutors allegedly failed to act on the gunman's location at the time. I'm not. I'll probably have to go and look and find out for myself exactly what the go is. I mean, if it's.
I have no idea about the case. I have only seen some screen thumbnails go past. So
Mhm.
it seems like Uvalde is prosecuting one of the guards or one of the police. Is that what's going on?
Where are we? Jury selected for trial informant Vivaldi officer charged in the Rob Entum. Yeah, so this is one of the guys that sort of stood around and didn't do anything. Jury selection began Monday. I don't know, chat. You got any tips
The
for me?
prosecutor withheld information. Yeah, that's not always an immediate dismissal, but as we found out with Judge Bev, and
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you're a Richard Allen case follower, apparently it happened there as well. It's not an immediate dismissal.
It
It's
sort of
still,
depends how crucial the information that was withheld. I mean, like theoretically, a prosecutor's supposed to hand over everything.
but now we find out there's actually some judicial discretion involved with that because Bev seemed to be fine with all that shit.
Yeah, and to be perfectly honest, I think that if things had gone against Karen Reid, that there would have been a lot of people making motions to blow up that judgment. Frankly, because
Oh, that thing was going to blow up into all sorts of shit because she was even trying to keep stuff off the record, which is what it's for. It's for appeal. If you do get convicted, it's for the record, for the appeals record.
the fact that she actually tried to stop him from making an argument, and he had to say, "No, I want this on the record for the appeal."
And then she said,
That of
"No, you
itself is
can't have it
just
on the record. Come here and tell me about it first."
yeah.
Which is on the fucking record because, like, the sidebars are on the record. Even if he did go to the sidebar, he was still putting it on the record. So she's fucking dumb for that. She just didn't want the public to hear it. That's what I
Yeah.
think she was trying to do, keep the public from hearing shit. Not in this case. The prosecutor has sworn oath live on TV, but Jason, they all swore oaths. It's federal law. They absolutely have to. Like, Brady violations is not state to state. Brady violations is federal. Am I correct with that? Brady is actually Supreme Court.
Yeah, so
case
that's
law.
across all states. Brady was established by the U.S. Supreme Court. Yes, Brady, Maryland.
Yeah. So that's what you're talking about here is Brady violations. But there must be some point where the state judge is allowed to. Some of it comes down to their discretion because I'm seeing a lot of cases where we thought, yeah, that's a Brady violation. That should be instant dismissal, and it's not. It wasn't just in Karen Reid's case. For those who followed the Richard Allen case, Andrew has pointed out multiple times where it should have been dismissed because of the same sort of things. So,
Yeah.
a witness changed her testimony on the stand in a case where the defense is arguing down to the second what the timeline is. Yeah, that's exactly what happened in the Karen Reid case. In fact, the thing that should have caused the instant dismissal in the Karen Reid case is Lally opening to the jury and telling them that the incident happened at 12:41. Halfway through, he gets all these witnesses to say 12:41, 12:41. Jen was at the door, 12:41. fucking Trooper Paul says like multiple times at 12:41, the vehicle reversed into blah, blah, blah. He says that like 7 times. And then all of a sudden, Richard Green comes up and goes, yeah, but Karen was logged in on John's Wi-Fi at 12:31. So by the end of my closing statements, Lally changes it and says, yeah, no, it happened at 12:31.
Yeah.
That should have been an instant dismissal there because he misled the jury from the start. Changing theories, the prosecution changing their theory mid-trial is something that's an issue. The witness changing their testimony mid-trial is a impeachment issue. Am I right with that?
Look, a witness changing the testimony, yes, you're going to impeach all their previous statements. You're going to go back and say, well, you said this, this, and that, and now you're saying this to try and prove that whatever they're saying about it in either instance is lying. However, if there are other witnesses, for example, that have built their testimony on that individual witness, if that witness is then changing it, or worse, if the witness has changed their testimony mid-sentence, for example, on the stand, then they could be looking at perjury.
Right. And contrast that with, for example, the prosecution changing their entire theory mid-trial. Is that an ethical issue or is that a mistrial issue? What is that?
Look, unfortunately, it really depends on the context. I know I'm giving a real lawyer answer there, saying it depends, but it really does, because
I
gave you
the context. Slowly changed the time when the incident happened because he found. I think he was waiting to see if Richard Green would come up and say she was logged in on John's Wi-Fi at 12:31, so it couldn't have happened 10 minutes later.
Well, no, I don't think that's strictly something in relation to a mistrial. I think that's something where he was trying to show that there were alternative theories. And because, I mean, provided you don't have to necessarily believe what you're saying as a prosecutor or as a plaintiff lawyer. What you have to have is reasonable grounds for saying what you're saying in court. So, like I said, that goes back to the whole argument of how you defend
witness
someone.
list has just testified to 12:41.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're showing the jury this slideshow that says 12:31.
Yeah, which just means that he's causing confusion, and that's just a cornerstone of being a bad lawyer. That isn't doing anything technically wrong. So as long as he has something to provide reason for why he's showing it at that time, like if he had a document or if he had any valid reason for legitimately believing that what he presented was accurate, then he's not technically doing anything wrong. You do have to give lawyers a certain level of leeway in trials because shit goes sideways fast.
Sure, it certainly did for Lally in trial one that he had to switch the freaking time stamps to 12:30 prior to 12:31. So it made a liar out of Jen. He said, I was standing there looking out.
Well, clearly you weren't.
This text at this time, and so that proves that it was at this time. So interesting. So that was something that, I just AI'd it just to ask the general question about him changing theory in the middle of trial. But I think AI might have jumped to the conclusion that, let's say it's a complete change of theory. Okay, the car didn't hit him. She actually got out of the car and smashed him with her glass.
Yeah, I mean, if it was to be a complete and utter pivot from, okay, let's take a more ridiculous example.
Yeah,
it's a murder trial, and originally they're saying that he was shot.
Yeah,
but then midway through the trial they change it and say, oh no, someone threw a rock at his head and killed him that way.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Right.
Yeah, you can present alternate theories, but at the same time, that would cause all sorts of other violations, in my opinion, because then then the defense would be on a completely off kilter without any sort of prepared response for that. So,
yeah, and that would create the issue. That will create the exact issue that I think the AI might have jumped to that conclusion that the defense has they haven't prepared anything. That's just taking them off. What's the word? Taking them by surprise.
Yeah.
Brennan said the words multiple times. I just forget what the word is. What is the word, the phrase I'm looking for?
I am not 100% sure.
When you pull something out and it's a surprise.
Oh, what, like an ambush and a...
Ambush. Thank you. Trial by ambush.
Yeah.
That's the one I was thinking of. So interesting. So it was good to learn, some of the things that I was originally alarmed at, and I did vent a lot about a lot of these things because I didn't have a regular lawyer coming on answering any of the questions for me.
Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely one of them. I was alarmed that Lally was able to switch that up the way that he did. But then you look at how dishonest he was with that.
Mm.
And then you pair that with Brennan holding up John's pullover. What do Americans call it? Jersey pullover.
The hoodie that he was wearing. Yeah.
Hoodie. That's a universal word. And tried to say that the holes in the hoodie could have come from him skipping across the asphalt when he just had the crime lab come on
Yeah.
and testify that they put the holes in the hoodie. That's a completely different sort of level of I can't think of the word for it, a different level of misleading the jury, right?
Yeah, and I mean specifically in the retrial when Brennan tried to hold up the jersey when it was completely flattened. That to me bordered very heavily on misleading the jury. And I'm glad that
the fact that they even pressed his clothes inside a plexiglass prevented the jury from inspecting the clothes, except for what they wanted to have exposed through the plexiglass.
Yes.
So by putting it in the plexiglass, they were more or less saying to the jury,
they were curating the evidence. That's what they were doing.
Inspect it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They were curating the evidence, trying to portray a very specific way that it was dealt with, and it just, yeah. I mean, it suffice to say, across 2 trials, anybody with half a brain should have been very concerned about the judicial system there. Between the prosecution and the court there, it was disgusting. And the problem is that, and as to tie everything together, including the Helen Moore case, this is why defendants, even if they do the most heinous of acts, have to be given every benefit of the doubt. Even if in my heart of hearts, I would love nothing more than to run a particular person over, hypothetically, they still have to have every benefit of the doubt and a fair trial, because we see instances where the process is abused, where, I mean, if Karen hadn't had the financial resources to fight this case, I have no doubt in my mind right now she'd be sitting behind bars for something that she, in my opinion, did not do.
I don't think there's a single viewer out there who believes any different, even the aunties. They were very pissed that she had the money to fight this. So now, on that score, there is a reason we have presumed innocence, and this goes back for us in Australia. This goes back to English law, where the state has all the power. They have all the money and all the power. They have an open checkbook, as we saw with Michael Morrissey writing checks at Western Centre.
Yep.
But that's why that's why the defendant gets the rights that they get and the right to be presumed innocent for that reason, because the state has all the money and all the wealth and all the resources to be able to put their case on. They have to prove it. Yep. Whereas the defendant doesn't have all that access.
So everyone from a pauper on the street to the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company is supposed to be afforded the exact same rights. And this is why I still have arguments with people about the rule of law and how where trials should be held and whether or not they should have juries and that sort of thing. And I can understand people wanting to skip over judicial process in certain instances, even where a trial is a formality. Though the rule of law and judicial procedural fairness dictates that everyone gets a fair trial, even if particularly if it's something horrific and it should have the death penalty, for example.
Right, that's when it's most important, especially in America, because they still have the death penalty. I understand that. And a lot of our law was based on the fact that we did used to have the death penalty, like that's carried over, hasn't it? When we did have the death penalty, we had to be doubly, triply, quadruply sure that this was the person who did it. So a lot of our law does reflect American law for that simple fact that we used to have, when was it? 1960 something we stopped.
I think it was more recent than that, actually.
More recent? I thought it was 60 something. It was like before, a little bit before I was born was the last execution. Could be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Ronald Ryan in 67, February 67.
There you go, 2 years before I was born. That was just fucking good memory, Aussie, for a change. Don't ask me his fucking name, but yeah, interesting. Hayden, Mo in the deep end covered the Uvalde trial. She mentioned you and your input. She wants your input.
Oh, she wants my input. I was going to say, I haven't given any input on the Uvalde trial as of yet.
No, she wants it. So it was said a little earlier. She was doing a shout out for you while you were on this stream, I think, is what they were saying.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, well, I
mean, Mo. He's on his way.
Look, we'll see. I mean, I'm happy to discuss with Mo. My own personal circumstances at the moment is that I don't get a lot of time to do streaming, and it just happened that this really worked out well because I'm still on leave until Monday. But I'm at the moment I'm more about putting together well thought out videos as much as I can and streaming on my live channel when I can. So the main thing is I don't want to be because I have had a few people reach out wanting to do collaborations or series and that sort of thing, and it's more I don't want to agree to something and let people down, basically, because I have no idea what my schedule's like at any given time. So
understood. We appreciate your time today. On that note, for those who don't know, please, for my audience, go over to Aussie Overlaw'd Live. Make sure you put the live bit on the end and hit the subscribe button, because he's got to get some view hours up so he can monetize that channel. So he's got two channels, Aussie Overlaw'd and Aussie Overlaw'd Live. He wants to be able to split his content from his attorney content to just being himself content. So,
well, it's more about wanting to separate the videos out from the live streams, because it seems something in the YouTube algorithm seems to be messed up. My videos do very well on my main channel, but for some reason the live streaming not so much. And given that occasionally I just want to be able to live stream building a model or like just having a conversation with chat and that sort of thing.
Case, yeah,
exactly. So it's more just like wanting to be able to split it up so that, I mean, what I do on the live channel, if there's something that's good there, I'm going to cut it up, put it into a video, put it on the main channel, see how that goes. And down the track, I may go back to streaming on the main channel, but for the moment, I'm trying to build up the live channel, just have some fun with it and that sort of thing. Yeah. And something that may be of interest to people, if you are actually a member of my Discord and a member on the main channel, I'm going to start doing chat interactions where I'm doing my pre-records so that I actually have an audience while I'm recording my videos. It'll give you the opportunity to throw your 2 cents in if you really want to, and give commentary on cases and that sort of thing that I'm looking into. So that's just more of a little thing for members.
You can stream them on your Overlaw'd Live channel, have the chat interaction, and then create the videos for your
other so what I'm doing is I'm creating videos offline, no streaming at all, but I'm having so Discord allows you to have effectively the equivalent of an X space, so that I can let people come in and like give audio and that sort of thing, so people don't have to be on camera or anything, which, given I've seen certain channels get nuked for, you know, people appearing on camera in very not much, it just gives an opportunity for
eyes. I've seen that happen too.
Unfortunately, it's more just about giving back to the members, because a lot of people have been very supportive of the channel. So, and I really want to build up the interaction. So that's just keep an eye out, people, is what I'm saying.
Right. So for my guys, go over and sub to Hayden's channel so that he can get his like minimum whatever he needs to kick that off. I don't even know what it is anymore. It used to be 1,000 subs or something, but I don't know what it is today. Because
they have two in YouTube Studio for some reason. One is 1,000 with a certain number of hours, and then another one is 500 with a certain number of hours. I'm not sure if that's the difference between how many views you get on shorts or if it's streaming. I don't know.
It's a
Point-
headfuck. Who
point
can
is-
work it out?
Exactly. Point is, enjoy the content, hit the like button, and we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, help him get there, guys. I know my guys will go over and do it. So, we didn't have a huge audience here tonight. I mean, we certainly got your guys here, which is double my audience. Well and truly more than double my audience, because I've gone quiet. Like, so much stuff happened after the trial, and shit was flying in every fucking direction. And if you didn't duck, you were going to get smacked in the head with it.
Yep.
And so I just did a lot of ducking and trying not to get fucking smacked in the head with it, basically. I don't want to take sides on all the sides that are being taken. I met some great people through the Karen Reid trial. The Karen Reid trial is not where I started and was not my only, interest. So if you want to go kill each other, fine. But I did meet some nice people through that trial, and I'd like to keep them as contacts for other cases that we might all cover together. Yep. I don't want to get involved in the shit slinging.
No, what I've learned is dealing with LawTube and that sort of thing. One thing I have learned is, and it was one thing that Jeff taught me very well, was how to be Switzerland. But what I've done is I've tweaked that, because rather than not commenting on anything, what I've learned is if I have a go at everyone equally, I'm still Switzerland.
It's like I'm not racist. I just hate everyone fucking equally.
Exactly. It's the easiest way to get out of jury duty. I am equally racist against everybody except that guy over there, because I can't be equally racist, because then if I'm equally racist, I'm still a good juror.
Exactly. Yeah, no, so the only place where I'm not Switzerland is when they're coming at me directly. Like they're picking bones with me directly, then I will address it. Otherwise, I ain't getting involved. Like, come at me sideways directly, and I'll give you, how I feel about that. And they're doing that at the moment. Like, they haven't stopped for a fucking year.
Yeah.
They just keep going. And I don't know, what is it that makes them move on? Like, people go, well, just ignore them. Well, I fucking have for over a year, and they're still doing it. So what is it that is the fucking recipe here? I'm lost. Whatever that recipe is, it has to bring an end to their fucking never-ending story dragon.
Yeah. I mean, look, speaking from experience with enough drama and bullshit on the internet, I can say that eventually it passes. Basically, you just got to wait for people to get bored.
And somehow they are just fucking obsessed.
Well, on the one hand, take it as a compliment. You're interesting enough that you've kept their attention. I mean, it was funny how quickly that koala bullshit passed over, but I mean, I suppose the whole me proving that I'm not the same person as that dipshit probably really helped. Right. But yeah, I mean, you just got to take it as it comes, unfortunately. And yeah, I can only give the same advice as what everyone else has, which I know you're not going to hear, is that you just got to ignore them. Like,
eventually their obsession will go away. Just some people have it for longer than others.
Yep.
All right. So I'm going to post in the chat the link to the story that we were mainly talking about tonight. What's her name again?
Helen Moore.
Helen Moore. So this is the child killer who was supposed to serve 3 life sentences and ended up only serving a half of one. Did I get the math right there?
Effectively, yep.
Is it 25 years a life sentence in Australia?
So it varies from state to state, but in that instance, it was either for the natural life of the person or 25 years. So yeah, that roughly she got roughly half of one life sentence that she was sentenced to, which as I said, I do not believe she should have received parole in the first place. But
yeah. So I couldn't put this video on the screen because the last time I did a reaction to a Daily Mail story, they fucking struck me. Even though I was actually doing commentary, and I was actually not just doing commentary, but criticizing theirs. So
yeah,
they struck me and YouTube gave it to them. So I was like, fine, no more fucking Daily Mail. But there's the link. Go and give them your fucking views, even though I don't want to. I'd rather do it under some Australian link. Like, I don't know, ACA or someone, they're actually fairer about whether or not they'll strike you.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Well, we'll see how they go because like I said, I plan on cutting this up and putting it into a video as well, just with additional extra legal side of stuff. So keep an eye out for that, peeps. But I mean, I'll definitely be using short clips out of that. So if Daily Mail want to come at me, I'm up for the challenge.
Well, they don't come at you; they just strike your channel, and YouTube goes, "Yeah, but Daily Mail's a fucking editor with fucking all these privileges, so you're out, you lose." So, but do it. I want to see what happens. Like, I don't think. See, I don't care if a video gets struck. I'll try it anyway.
Yeah.
And then once it's struck, I'm like, all right, I won't use these anymore because the side of it that I hate is that they don't just strike you, but they will take all of your revenue for it.
Yeah.
I'll just fucking delete it so no one can see it anymore, and rather than give them the revenue.
Yeah.
and,
No, it's
giving them the
far better
views.
to do that.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that I sort of think about it. If they're going to strike me and take the money for it, like 100%, they don't even go, well, we'll split the revenue with you because you did do commentary.
Yeah.
They're just fucking a-holes. But a lot of the big media conglomerates are like that. So there's been other things in Australian media that I've covered where they've gone, we're striking you and we're deleting your video because of the topic. Remember that lady that she exposed that childcare center and they actually sued her. She was actually arrested by the police because she what did she do wrong? I can't even remember. We covered it very extensively, but all of it got deleted because YouTube's like, yeah, nah, topic's bad. Get out of here. We're not letting viewers watch that.
Ooh, really?
She was arrested by the police. She was the one that blew the whistle on the daycare.
Yeah.
Then he got arrested. He was one of the most prolific PDFs in the country. But she got arrested because she used data on her system to blow the whistle on him. So how she blew the whistle, the cops wouldn't do anything, so she went to the media. So they arrested her for that, basically.
Lovely.
Yeah. I can't even remember her name. I know I had it. Like I said, they deleted all my fucking videos, so I can't even look back at it for you.
Yeah.
But she went to Supreme Court, I think, and finally got. No, actually, it didn't make it there. No, she got not guilty. That's what she got. So we were very pleased with that outcome. Not guilty. She did the right thing by blowing the whistle. So, the cops just need to pay attention. If they don't want a daycare administrator to go, look, I got the records, here's what I know, to the media, then listen to them when they bring it to you first. Go and investigate. At least do that fucking investigation, because the time that you spent arresting her, building a case against her, and then losing in court, you could have done a fucking 10-minute investigation and caught that guy months earlier before he got the other kids. You know what I mean? That long list of kids that he got his hands on. So that was definitely, the police let everybody down. But back to the topic, that was one of the stories YouTube just wouldn't let me cover. And I don't know if that was because Australia won't let us cover current news like that, especially in cases that are controversial.
Well, I mean, pretty much every court has a standing rule as to how you're allowed to cover things that are literally with the courts. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as soon as a sentence is handed down, you should be allowed to cover whatever the hell you want. I mean, there's a reason that I didn't cover the mushroom killer trial. While she's still got a potential appeal going on, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. After that, I'm going to do a massive deep dive into that.
Yeah, like now it's over. Are we allowed to talk about it now?
Well, I mean, until her appeal is finalized, it's not technically over. That's the problem.
It's still under seal.
Yeah. So
Yolanda, thank you. Look, I got the best super mods on the planet. Thank you, Michelle. Just to address George's thing, he posted a celebration of life video after his dad passed and got a copyright claim for a song that he didn't even use in the stream. He's even more nuts. I played one of my own fucking videos,
Mhm.
but because I have the ads turned on for that video, one of the YouTube ads inserted into the video while I'm showing it to my audience on a live stream. It's my video. I own the copyright.
But
I'm
because the
showing it
ad
to
was
the
in there, you
audience.
be claimed for the ad that was.
YouTube injects their own ad and then copyright strikes me for the song that was in their fucking ad. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I didn't pick that song. You cunts did. If you don't have the streaming rights to that song, how is it that I get the fucking strike for it?
That's really bad.
It is. It's ridiculous. So
But that's like so my intro video is a licensed piece of music that I bought from various places actually, because I've got multiple licenses for it now. The license is connected to my main YouTube channel, so I went and bought a second license to be able to put it on the secondary one. Every single time I put a video up on the second channel, I get copyright claimed for the music in my intro, despite the fact that I've got a license for it.
right, they were doing that to me too. That's why I went and wrote my own, because I actually paid for it's in the fucking YouTube. You can use this list so long as you credit the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept striking me for it. So that's why my intro changed from a couple of years ago to now.
Yeah.
Because this one I wrote using AI. So apparently sometime in the future they're going to fucking strike me for that too, because the AI wrote it, not me.
Mm.
But anyway, we'll see what happens with that. And it comes down to the crunch. I might just get my son to play a little lead acoustic guitar riff for me and record that, and that will be my intro. So they can't fucking strike me for that shit. But we'll just see where it goes. Right now they're not complaining about my AI intro, so which you heard at the beginning there, because you know how it goes, guys. The data don't lie, people do. All right, Hayden, it's been great having you on, and I've had you for 3 hours now, so I hope I haven't interrupted family time that you should be doing.
Yeah, no, it's been quite quiet. So no, it's been fantastic to be here. Thank you for the invite, and I'm glad the stars aligned and I was able to join. So
I'm very pleased you were able to join. So we pulled it out of our asses at the last minute because Hayden is back to work next week. Does that mean we're going to get our drives to work streams?
No, because they went and changed the distracted driving laws here, and I have yet to decide. I have yet to have interpretation done on it as to whether or not I can even have the laptop turned on to be able to stream. I can have a GoPro already set up before I start the drive and that sort of thing, but then that means you get 2 hours of me just talking at a camera, rambling.
I don't mind that. I like your rambles.
They've actually changed the wording of it so much so that the driver themselves is not supposed to eat or drink now, is my understanding, which is just pathetic. So
yeah, I'm not even allowed to light a cigarette or smoke a cigarette while I'm driving. And do you think I could fucking remember that? Because that's the one time when I want to have a smoke is when I'm driving. I just choked on it. Sorry. So that went down the wrong hole. I took a chug on a cigarette while I was talking about it. See, that's karma. Yeah, so it was very, very good to have you here today. I'm pleased we could fit it in. I would absolutely love your driving rambles, because that's where we learn, most of what about you and what you do and how you do it and how the law works, and that's where I sort of get the most I glean the most information from you, rather than when you're actually watching a trial. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I enjoy watching trials, but the time zones trying to do them live just kills me.
right.
And I don't know, I'm one of those ones where if I get engrossed in the trial, I forget to do commentary.
Right. Get stopped occasionally and add your 2 cents worth.
Yeah. So, but anyway, no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm going to run out my time with the audience when you're ready to log off, rather than end the stream, and just see what anyone else wants to talk about. So we can prattle on for a little bit longer, but I do have a limit on either paid plan. I paid $40 for this month, and I still have a limit.
Fair enough.
God damn it. So enjoy your day, and hello to Mrs. Overlaw'd and little Lady Overlaw'd while we're thinking of them.
Yep, I'll pass that on.
No worries.
I think even when I leave, it's going to keep streaming on my channel, but I'll.
Oh,
if
okay.
you can just flick me a message when you finish, I'll.
No, I'll end it. Let's end it. We won't do that to you. Let's end it. See you later, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Thank you again, Hayden. We'll talk to you all again next stream. Easy done.
Cheers.